Lugo coming out for the 7th. Lugo, giving up 5 runs before, he was taken out of the game. The 3 runs that were, put on the board in the 4th inning. Where do we want to start with last night? The overall meaning of last night's game, how we feel coming out of it, confidence, depression, whatever. How do we feel from last night's game? Where do we start?
I think there's so many different ways that you could dissect this game, and it starts off that the first 3 innings 4.5 innings were about as perfect as you could have created it. I mean, Seth Lugo, 3 perfect innings, had thrown less than 40 pitches. Yeah. You had 3 home runs going into last night. The Royals had 5 home runs against Tristan McKenzie in his career against the Royals, and that stemmed over 11 outings, 9 starts. So they had tagged him, and it's game 1 of a series. So you have 5 runs off their starter through 4.5. You're probably getting their bullpen early, and your guy is probably able to go 6 or 7 innings, and then you walk out with a game 1 victory. I mean, I sat there on the couch going, this is about as perfect as it could have began, because along with winning that game, I would have loved just the shock factor to Cleveland fans, thinking, well, this Royals team, they're probably not that good. They're overachieving. And then you go and punch them in the mouth in that first chance you get. It would have been perfect. But in the end, all Cleveland fans are doing are going, that's exactly right.
Told you.
That's exactly what we thought was going to happen. A 5-0 lead evaporates. They get 8 unanswered runs. I mean, it's kind of a question of where do you start? Do you try to bring up the positive of really this offense right now? I don't see as too much of an issue. Hunter Renfroe, who we've bagged on before, he's been a pretty good hitter since May 12th. The Royals Review put that out, and I'm not worried about Hunter Renfroe. I mean, over the entire season, I'm not expecting him to be a great hitter, but you take spurts like this, and then you have Nelson Velasquez channeling his power a little bit. The top 4 in the lineup are playing well. You have 5 or 6 guys that are hitting the ball well right now in the rotation, doing their job. But to me, the big headliner here, the sign outside the restaurant that catches your eye, there's zero faith in the bullpen. Zero faith. That's why Seth Lugo, with 93 pitches, went out in the 7th. And I was all right with it. It's the bottom of the order. Yeah, hindsight's 20/20. Who the hell do you go to? They went to Sam Long, who has 4 innings this year, in a tie game against the first-place team in your division. There's not really anybody you can give the 7th inning to, even though Serpa's been great this year. He's coming off a bad outing. He just pitched on Sunday. Though you have a day of rest, I wouldn't have felt that comfortable. I would have rather taken the chances with Lugo over the bullpen. And there's a reason in this bad stretch, the Royals are 2-7. There's zero faith in the bullpen because the bullpen's given zero reason to be believed in.
I'm with you. When Lugo came out, I was fine with it. The bottom of the order, he'd thrown 92 pitches. I know there were stress pitches that were there. The 5th inning was rough. 4th inning, was rough for Lugo. 5th inning, he got 3 up, 3 down. So, okay, maybe he settled down. Now you're going to the bottom part of the lineup, 7, 8, 9, when he goes out there. But if the Royals had a more trustworthy bullpen, that is a spot where Matt Quatrero says, hey, look, you've done your job. You got 6 innings. It's another quality start from you. You're at 90-plus pitches here starting the 7th inning. We're going to go and hand it over to somebody else. Great job. And we're going to hand it over to somebody else because it's the bottom part of the lineup. But they don't trust their bullpen to get 9 outs right now. That's the problem. Seth Lugo should be able to come through in those situations. I think more times than not, he would come through in those situations. I do believe more times than not, Tyler Freeman does not hit that pitch for a 2-run home run. That was a curveball. That was low. It wasn't in the dirt any Vlad Guerrero to it. It was just barely below the strike zone. So it wasn't like, oh my God, he hit an unhittable pitch, 400 feet. He hit a pitch that, it dropped just below the strike zone. Might have been called a strike based on last night's, floating strike zone from time to time. But that's one of the major takeaways is there isn't that trust for the bullpen, who to go to. And it's a great point that the first guy you went to out of the bullpen was a guy who's pitched 4 innings for this team because that's who you trust right now. You didn't go to Angel Zerpa. You brought Zerpa in to come and clean that up, which he did, except for he didn't because of what took place there in the field.
Yeah. I hated seeing people all of a sudden bash Lugo and Quatraro for putting him out in the 7th when I saw the exact same people who were bashing him for going to the bullpen early. I'm just like, Seth Lugo, you had to go to him because you don't trust anyone in the bullpen.
Right. It's a bullpen issue. Lugo pitching in the 7th is 100% about the bullpen.
If you're going to pull Lugo, it would have been after the 5th when he had 2 massive strikeouts, bases loaded, and he struck out back-to-back guys, one being Jose Ramirez, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Jimenez and Ramirez back-to-back strikeouts.
To end the 5th, you're like, okay, we got away. He does not have his stuff. He got out of it.
He 4-pitch walked the number 9 hitter and then struck out the 2 and 3 hitter, guys who don't strike out.
Seth Lugo clearly did not have it last night. Didn't have his best stuff, at least.
Yeah.
And if you were going to pull him, I think it would be after that, after he got away with the bases loaded, striking out their 2 best hitters. But he comes back out for the 6th. They go 1, 2, 3, but he still threw 19 pitches. It was 19 pitches to get 1, 2, 3 in the 6th. Okay? At that point, though, how do you view this? Do you send him back out with 93 pitches when your bullpen's been atrocious? Or do you say, we got lucky, he doesn't have his stuff, and he got us through 6? Well, they wanted to go and try it because Seth Lugo, even without his best stuff, is probably better odds going to him than going to anyone else in the bullpen. They tried it. It didn't work. I like the idea. It made sense to me. I have no qualms with that. They went and they brought in Long, then Zerpa, and you're talking about the Bobby Witt Jr. play, and that was frustrating. That was rookie year Bobby Witt Jr. That was everything that could go wrong in that play did. Give a lot of credit to, was it Bo Naylor or Josh Naylor?
Josh Naylor.
Josh Naylor.
Yeah.
Got a great lead, hustled down the line, and made it close. But if you're Bobby Witt Jr., you have to know in that situation what's going on. In that situation, you're almost always taught, just go to first. Just go to first.
Well, I think in Little League you're taught, just
Easy
go to
way.
first. But take the easier out. First or second base, out at any base, take the easy out. And that, in his mind, was the easier out. I've got it. I'm just going to go run to second base and step on the bag.
When you see him running down the line, don't then try and beat him and then try and throw sidearmed. And by the way, I'm a little surprised. I'm not blaming Naylor. Great play. By the way, getting down the line, putting your hand up. We saw, was it Aaron Judge or someone else earlier this year get called for interference on that. I wasn't clamoring for interference. That was not what I was saying. Some consistency would be nice in Major League Baseball. But I'm sitting here going, just go to first the entire time. Just go to first the entire time. Vinny, of course, been great at first base all season long. It's time for him to make a good scoop because it wasn't a long hop. It wasn't necessarily a short hop. It's one of those in-betweens. Those are the hard ones for first baseman. He missed it. It was a brutal play all around, and of course it goes into the dugout, so everyone moves up, 3-run score.
3-run score on what should have been the third out. I mean, that's as bad of an error as it's going to get. 5-5 in the 7th inning in a crucial game like that, that's as flash. That's an error we'll remember all season, and that's unfortunate for Bobby Witt. I think there were a number of factors playing into that particular play. The shift that they had on with who was it that was up that hit that? That was Fry.
Fry, yep.
It was Fry. So the shift that they had on for Fry, they had Vinny Pasquantino playing way over towards second base, which allowed Naylor to get the bigger lead. There is an awareness factor that would go into that. Okay, I see how big that lead is. If I get a slow roller to me, do I just go to first? Okay. Nick Lofton is playing almost directly behind second base. The ball is hit to Bobby Witt. Nick Lofton is experienced enough. I think he could read the ball to know that Bobby Witt is going to get that. My job is to go cover second base.
Agreed.
Not back up Bobby Witt. Not run behind Bobby Witt as if he's not going to get the ball. You got to go to second base. The other part that goes along with it is Bobby trying to beat him to second base because Nick Lofton wasn't there. Trying to beat him to second base. I actually think he would have won. When you see Bobby's foot step down, because he stepped short, when you see Bobby's foot step down and then his other foot start to swing because he's getting ready to place that one to throw, the bag still hadn't moved from Naylor. He was sliding in and the foot hadn't got there. It almost like hit the dirt and came up a little bit. I think he gets him. But Bobby Witt at that point thinks he's going to win. I've got to throw to first. The other factor of this is they showed the... not the all 22, but the all 9. They showed the all 9. And if you watch Vinny, as Bobby's running to second, he relaxes.
Yeah.
And then Bobby throws it, and now he gets down in a crack, and he's not there, ready to scoop it. I think if that play was just Bobby throwing to first, and it's the exact same throw, I think Vinny scoops it. You saw he got it on the in-between hop.
Yeah.
He's left-handed, so I'm using my left. He got it on the in-between hop. He was almost waiting for it, as opposed to going 5 inches forward, and you get the little scoop, short hop there, which we see Vinny do all the time. The longer hop, hey, you play back on it a little bit.
Yes.
That was it. He played the in-between hop, Vinny did, and I think that's because as Bobby was running to second, we're good. Bleep. Now I've got to put foot on the bag, bend knees, now reach out, and I don't have a lot of time to judge where the hop is going to come, and it bounces into the dugout. All of those things coincided for what turned out to be the biggest play of the game. If Michael Massey is playing second base or Frazier or whatever, are they running to second base or not backing up Bobby Witt? I don't know. But there is a part of, there's frustration with the Royals, but what they're talking about in Cleveland is, man, Josh Naylor, what a hell of a game. That is a hustle play. He could have jogged. Instead, he busted his butt, got down to second, forced the play because of base running, and then they have an error and you end up scoring. Because if the exact opposite was happening, and that was, Velazquez busting it down to second, we'd be talking about that hustle, not giving up on any play.
Yeah.
Look at Nelly getting down to second base. And yes, they had the shift on, so we got a bigger lead, but smart enough for him to take that big lead to where he was even with Vinny, where Vinny was on the infield, or even with Naylor, where Naylor was on the infield, and he's able to get to second, and they overthrow or they throw a bad shot to first and 3 runs scored. If the exact opposite was happening, we would be talking about the Royals forcing the issue and making that error happen. This side of it, we're looking at the 3-4 different things that took place, that if one of those was different, they get out of that inning, and it's 5-5. I'm not confident they win the game, though. Even 5-5, if Bobby Witt makes the throw or beats Naylor to the bag, it's the best bullpen versus one of the worst bullpens over the next 3 innings. I'm not feeling good.
Well, both can be true, and that's why I tried giving credit to Naylor to start. If he doesn't hustle down that line, it's an easy play. They're out of the inning. I still don't think it matters if Bobby Witt Jr. goes to first. He had a great game. Obviously, the 2 home runs. It's overshadowing what a phenomenal game that he really had. He carried this team. He carried the offense. 4 RBIs. Of the 5 were Bobby Witt Jr. 2 bombs, no doubters. They were not close. And it's sad that that's going to overshadow what could have been a massive moment, biggest series in 7 years. Bobby Witt Jr. plays the hero, and instead we're talking about it as, yes, Nick Lofton, yes, Vinny could have scooped it, all this stuff. End of the day, I did not play shortstop at the highest level. I get that. As a shortstop growing up, all that stuff, I'm taking it to first every single time, especially when the shift is on like that.
Right, but typically it's take the easy out. And maybe, he misjudged how far away he was from second versus Naylor, busting it down to second base.
It was one of those scenarios where it was kind of just a tweener, right? I think with that shift, as you brought up, it allowed Josh Naylor to build a bigger lead. It was a softly hit ball, and what he did, Bobby Witt Jr. is a very cool and poised defender. He's one of the best defenders in all of baseball. But in that spot, I almost wonder, more so than trying to beat Naylor to second, he forgot who hit the ball. I think he forgot David Fry, a catcher, was running. Even
but
when
also it's big old first baseman over at first base as well. So you got a couple slow runners that I should have an easy out at second or first.
Yeah, and I think honestly when it was hit, I knew it was going to be close, but the ball led him directly to the bag, and that's where I think when he saw Naylor getting close, he rushed it and went, oh, no, I just now realized that I can still get the guy at first, and that's where he didn't spike the throw, but it was in the dirt. And Vinny, I don't think, was as prepared for the throw. But, again, it all goes back to the matter that they blew a 5-0 lead.
Yes.
If that throw is made, he just gets the ball, throws it to first, you're out of the inning. And I would say it's an 80% chance the Royals still lose that game because they're facing Cleveland's back end of the bullpen, and the Royals are going to go likely with some guys that had still struggled over the last week. To me, the biggest moment of the game came back in the third with Naylor's 2-run home run. We talk about him getting to second because that went from 5-1. Ramirez just, placed one the other way. He's leading the league in RBIs. He's probably going to do that, and especially against the Royals. When Naylor hit that home run, it went from, you're fine, it's 5-1 with Seth Lugo to, shoot, now you're probably going to have to rely on the bullpen to win you this game. And yeah, they did have to rely on the bullpen, but it was already tied at that point. And that's where the dynamic shifted in this game, because Cleveland's going, it's 5-0. We're buried right now against the guy who's leading the league in ERA, or has the lowest ERA in the league, to, all we got to do now is just hold the Royals offense down. We're going to win this game. And I said on Twitter, I said they're going to need to score more than 5 runs. And I hate to complain about 5 runs, because that should be enough to win you a game like that. And tonight, it's a huge moment in this season with Brady Singer, who's coming off a start he didn't make. He had the stomach bug, and he's facing a team he historically has not pitched that well against. And it goes from, I hate the phrase must win on June 6th, but if you lose tonight, now it's Daniel Lynch to avoid a sweep, and at that point putting you 7 games back of first place. And that's not insurmountable, but it's not a spot you want to be in if you're trying to win this division. The Royals will still have a wild card spot, whether they get swept or not in this series. But this was a big one in terms of just momentum, putting a halt to this bad stretch of play, and against a team you're going to have to play well against if you're going to be playing in October.
Yeah, it almost felt like last night was the game you get. Seth Lugo on the mound versus McKenzie, who had been, up and down. And, Sterling, you brought up yesterday of McKenzie giving up the home runs and the long balls. And the Royals,
I hope everyone put money down when I said take the over Royals run scored against McKenzie because of.
And they got 5 on them.
Yeah.
And in that matchup, and now you've got Brady Singer, who, we'll see what he looks like tonight. This is a huge opportunity and a huge position for him, but Sandlin's been damn good too. He's got a sub-3 ERA. Like, we're like, Brady Singer's got a 2.63 ERA, and Sandlin's got a 2.7. And tomorrow you've got Daniel Lynch going against Bibby, whatever, call him Tanner, and he's got, a 3.7 ERA. Like, of the 3 guys pitching, last night was the game to get to where you felt good of, okay, now just take one of the next 2. And you've taken the series. Heck, go sweep, right? I mean, you win last night. Go sweep with Singer on the mound, and then maybe you steal one on Thursday. Now it's a matter of you got to win one of the next 2. Like, you got to. It's not a must-win tonight or tomorrow afternoon, but it really feels like a must-take at least one of the next 2 to leave Cleveland only dropping a game in the standings behind them. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll hear from Matt Quattrero. We'll hear from Seth Lugo. We'll hear from Bobby Witt Jr. And we will continue to lament the loss last night, but also look at the bigger picture of what's going on with this Royals team. The bullpen, we'll talk a little bit about that. Who do you trust at this point? MJ Melendez and his continual struggles going on. And the fact that it's kind of cool that I was so pissed last night. I mean, I'm still sort of weighing that whole dynamic of being that involved and living and breathing and dying on every single pitch and being really frustrated at each pitch that may be missed by the umpire or called a strike that was a ball or called a ball that was a strike, etc. in a June 5th game while the Chiefs are going through OTAs and practices. It's all Royals and the boys in blue was what I was paying attention to last night and talking about as well. We'll take a timeout, come back, more Zone next.
Visit us at Hollywood Casino Kansas Speedway this spring for all the playoff hoops, hockey action, and baseball. We've got the biggest...
Let's hear from Matt Quattrero last night after the game was over, speaking with the media, and starting off talking about the error that took place in the seventh and the overall loss in Game 1 of this series.
What I think really happened was Lofton broke for the ball. Bobby clearly went for the ball, so Bobby was probably thinking either go to the bag or flip it, and then when he realized he wasn't going to be able to do either, hurried and rushed, I don't know if he rushed the throw, but made an off-balance throw, and Vinny couldn't come up with a pick. So as far as how frustrating it is, yeah, I mean, that inning, we talk about it all the time, not giving away bases. So we had a great at-bat from Schneemann that, got on there versus Sammy, but 2 walks to load the bases, and then, the misplay. So certainly not a clean inning for us all the way around. So other than that, it was a clean game, so that is frustrating.
How much of a factor does Naylor's lead play into that? He was pretty far off the bag. Yeah,
I mean, yes, that played a factor in Bobby not being able to get there to get the out at second, yes.
How did you feel about Seth Lugo's start overall?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, he gave up the 3 runs there. Those guys are capable of doing damage. The top of their order is really, really good hitters. And then he settled in, and, I felt really good about sending him back out there in the 7th. And they hit 2 pretty good curveballs, a 2-strike curveball that was well down, and the home run was, at least from my vantage point, a tough pitch as well. So you got to tip your cap to them, but he battled and gave us a chance to win.
How confident do you feel in sending him out there for that 7th inning despite the bigger inning a couple innings before?
Very confident. Yeah, I mean, I think no doubt that was the thing for him to go out there, that he's earned that. He said he felt fine. There's no reason to think that he wasn't going to be able to handle that inning.
Obviously, tough way to lose against division leader. What do you tell the team after a game like this?
No, these guys will be ready to go tomorrow. I mean, you're going to lose games like this. You're going to win games like this. We just came back on somebody the other day and did it to them, and you got to come back out and do it tomorrow.
Did this game show you about what kind of this series could be, both this week and just the season overall against these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it before the game. Teams that are somewhat similar. I mean, they got the better of us today, and we made, like we talked about, we didn't play a clean inning there in the 7th, and that's what hurt us. But we're not in that spot. A lot will be made of Bobby's play there, but we're not in that spot without Bobby. He's got 3 hits, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. I mean, he's a great player, and that play just didn't go our way.
Just to clarify, would you would rather had Lofton take that ball? Kind of how did that? I mean, he broke for
No, Lofton was playing up the middle, so he goes to get it as well, not knowing exactly the spin on the ball or where it was going to be. So they both broke for the ball. No, Bobby easily catches that ball.
How would you just describe Bobby's swing today and this whole season really, but lately too, just being able to put you guys up?
Yeah, when you start seeing him hit balls like that to left center, that's really impressive because he's not trying to force the ball the other way. McKenzie's tough. He gets the ball up at the top of the zone. One was a curveball, and I think the other one was a fastball. I'm not positive. But, I mean, to get up on top of those balls, and it's a tough thing to do to hit balls that far in this ballpark, with that high wall. And so he hits balls like that. It looks like he's hitting golf balls.
A couple big innings for Lugo, big moments that he was able to get out of. 5th inning there after loading the bases. What did you see from him just being able to navigate that against the top of their lineup?
Yeah, a little extra velo on a couple of those pitches and then really executed below the zone. I think Jimenez, he got on a changeup and Ramirez on a curveball or sweeper, whatever it was. But to be able to make it look enough like a strike where those guys are going to go after it, he's been doing that all year. So it's not surprising, but it was a huge spot in the game.
The clarification that I think Annie was looking for on the Nick Lofton question, and I think Quattrero received the question as, no, I don't want Nick Lofton to field the ball because that's going right to Bobby. I think the clarification was you wanted Nick Lofton to cover second and not go to track the ball into short left center. As a second baseman, you wanted him to then take the bag. But instead it was Quattrero, hearing it as, well, no, Bobby's going to catch the ball. It's right to him. So, no, I don't want Nick Lofton to take the ball. Because at the beginning, Quattrero said, well, I think Bobby was thinking either I just flip it to second or step on the bag. Well, if Bobby and Q are in agreement that, well, in that shift, Nick Lofton isn't covering the bag, then they wouldn't be thinking maybe Bobby's going to just toss the ball to Nick Lofton. So, because I saw that last night, was like, well, you don't know what the play was. Nick Lofton, that might have been exactly what he was. In that shift, he may not be expected to cover second base or whatever. Well, Quattrero just said that he was expecting him to cover second base because Bobby Witt, he thought, was just going to toss the ball to Nick Lofton. And then he wasn't there, so now I got to step on the bag. So there was not a play to where, hey, Bobby, by the way, if the ball's to you, Nick Lofton's not covering second base. Okay. Well, I guarantee you if the ball's hit right up the middle, I bet Bobby Witt's running over to second base to cover to take the throw from Lofton. But, it was an unfortunate thing. And, in the fourth inning, it's an 0-2 pitch to Kwan that he doubles down the right field line. Looked like a good pitch, but Kwan is really good. It's a 3-2 pitch to Ramirez. Naylor was a 2-1 pitch. That was a strike. And then in the seventh inning, it was Brennan had a 1-2 count, and he singled through a shift. And then Freeman had an 0-1 count, and he homered on a curve that was, lower in the zone. So there were parts of what Seth Lugo was doing that he was, when he talked about it, and we'll play that clip as well, but what he was doing was things that he was hoping to get done, but it also was kind of a perfect encapsulation of what I feel like how close the Royals are to the Guardians in winning the division, and also where they're lacking and how far away they are at the exact same time. Do you not want him to talk, Dylan? You don't like
Dylan does not. No, I don't.
It's the 4-3 switch.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yep.
Well, I was when I first started doing this. I was on that mic. So
now that mic's for someone who's
really small.
Very small.
a foot and a half.
Very small individual.
Someone's
Eddie Goodell
kid.
right there.
Jeff
Eddie Goodell.
There you go.
Yes. Right there.
It does feel like the difference with these teams right now is not so much the lineups. I don't think it's the rotations. It's simply the bullpen, and I don't want to, beat a dead horse here, but it's like the bullpen that Cleveland has, and the reason they've won 40 of their first 60 for the first time since '99 is because in situations like last night, in multiple situations this year, you have a one-run lead. Royals fans were very used to it in 13, 14, and 15. They didn't always have the best lineup. They didn't always have the best rotation. But in spots like that, when they were able to mount a comeback, when the game was tied, it wasn't, oh, no, do we have to go to this guy in this spot? Oh, no, you can't trust this guy in this spot. That's what the Royals have right now. The silver lining is this, though. J.J. Picollo is fully aware that's the area he needs to improve. He was on John Heyman's podcast yesterday, brought up they don't strike out enough guys at the back end of the bullpen, and they're already in the beginning stages of looking for guys who can. So the silver lining in the bullpen struggling and not being, oh, they're kind of good, they're kind of bad. No, they're bad right now, and they need to upgrade. The second part of it is the bullpen, in my opinion, is the easiest spot to upgrade. It's the most affordable. It's the biggest market out there. You can go after multiple teams and say, hey, we want that reliever, extra year of control. Here's our 15th best prospect. They got John Schreiber for David Sandlin, who was kind of in the middle part of a bad system, at least overall rankings-wise. So when I look at the Royals and how they can improve, they add a guy or two, they might win that game. Down the road. I mean, the good thing is it wasn't September with a 2-game deficit for Cleveland, and you just choked that 5-run lead away. It ain't good. You never want to blow a lead like that, especially now that you're 5 games back. But I look at the big problem with this team and the difference between them and Cleveland. It's simply bullpen. They're never going to have Cleveland's bullpen because it's the best in baseball. But they need to get back to that territory, kind of where they were in the middle of April, middle of the league. 7th or 8th in the American League, 15th or 16th overall.
The Stuff Plus for the Royals and the Guardians, Stuff Plus ranking for the Royals is 30th. Stuff Plus ranking for the Guardians is first. So
makes sense.
Not being able to strike somebody out versus guys that come in and can get strikeouts. Go ahead.
How many guys do the Royals go after, bullpen guys, before the trade deadline? Because
all of them.
No, but like seriously, how many guys do you think they would look to add? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it only 1? I know it's easy to say, well, they need to get 4 new guys.
Well, it depends if you want to. And JJ said this over the weekend that, it might be winning on the margins. A couple of guys adding to the depth. It could also be, all right, this closer's available. And it might be a deal that the cost acquisition is okay for us and it makes sense for both sides. You know what? Yes, we're willing to give up players A, B, and C because we didn't think Mason Miller was available. And Mason Miller's available, and we got him until 2029. So, yeah, we're going to give up these 3 prospects for him because it's not just a guy and a rent-a-player. It's a guy with amazing stuff and who's striking out almost 3 per inning, which is absurd. And you can put him in the back of your bullpen, and now you just elongated that. Or, hey, let's go get another Schreiber, another Stratton or Anderson, and you're kind of in the same boat to a degree of trying to figure out who's hot and not at the same time.
Well, it's like the Michael Kopechs. Like, I think the Michael Kopechs are going to be available, the guy from the White Sox, right? And he's just a different flavor. He's like a Nick Anderson. He's like a Schreiber, but he at least has strikeout stuff.
Yeah. He's like those guys, but I know Nick Anderson looked good last night.
But consistently speaking, yeah.
Nick Anderson, if he was in a tie game, I don't know if there'll be brown spots on the back of his pants. But last night down 3, he looked amazing.
A guy who's more or less like a mid-3 ERA reliever to the low 4s. Something along those lines. That's your Michael Kopech, but it's a different flavor. I think Tanner Scott's the next level because it's a 1-year rental player. I think, Jack, you and I have talked a lot about Tanner Scott and our affinity for him, especially as a lefty who can face both guys. He's a closer. You can put him anywhere. And then Mason Miller is the top of the line. I just don't know the feasibility for the Royals.
Blake Mitchell, Kudrna, and probably somebody else and Mitchell and Kudrna might be the start, and then adding different pieces or something like that. I mean, that's what you're looking at if you're wanting to get a Mason Miller, and the A's are going to have to be blown away because there's no reason for them to trade him right now. And if they feel like they're couple of years away, well, then you've still got 4 years of control with Mason Miller on your team, and maybe they look at it and say, well, we're going to turn him into a starter, and then we're going to trade him for even more pieces at that point.
Are we too many bullpen pieces away? Like, are we going to go and spend on bullpen?
Well, it depends on the pieces.
Fixing it.
That was my point.
Depends on the pieces. If
we have Mason Miller, what does it matter if the 6th, 7th, and 8th guys blow all the leads?
Well, yeah, I think if you had Mason Miller and then you added somebody else that was
but that's too
good.
Expensive.
That might be too expensive, but you're not adding another closer. Are you adding another set? Kopech shouldn't be too expensive.
That's the guy.
Right. Mason Miller is going to cost you a lot. Kopech might cost you the 15th and 20th prospect, and now you've got an 8th and 9th guy, and you can figure out Anderson, Schreiber, Stratton along the way. But that's going to cost you, and it's going to cost you pieces that the Royals may not want to give up.
And that's what sucks is, like, when we had HGH, like, it was not like you just needed one starter. You didn't need multiple pieces in your bullpen, and it was secure, and you had wins that were happening.
5-inning games, 6-inning games.
Yeah.
Hunter Strickland right now, I know we've actually talked about him being kind of a head case in the past. He's 35 now. He's on the Angels, who are atrocious. He's had a really nice year. I wonder if they would take a look at a Hunter Strickland. Again, I'm looking at teams, bad teams.
Salvi's just telling the hitters everything that's coming. Hunter Strickland comes in the game.
As well.
Yeah, Hunter Strickland comes in the game, and the Royals are up 7, and Salvi's like, fastball inside.
Yeah.
God, that guy hit it like he knew it was coming. He did, because you're a D, and I'm not letting you. I haven't forgot 2014 Game 2, you D.
I almost think that, they really are one big-time bullpen arm away from making things even out a lot, because right now I feel like the issue is not so much everybody in the bullpen. They're missing one 7th-inning guy, one 8th-inning guy, because what do we talk about all the time? We'll get to Schreiber and MacArthur, who for the 7th.
Oh, I do not trust MacArthur, man. I do not trust MacArthur, and we're seeing Schreiber start to have his struggles. I am...
Schreiber's struggles.
Struggling.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, I do think they have struggled of late, but I still think with MacArthur, you find him in the right spot, you find him in the right groove, he's a valuable bullpen arm. I
agree.
Honestly, when Schreiber and MacArthur are out there, regardless of ERA, regardless of struggles, those are the 2 guys I trust the most with a lead. So, do the Royals go to Oakland, and maybe not Mason Miller, but Austin Adams, who has big swing and miss stuff? Maybe you go to Washington, you want a closer. Kyle Finnegan's been phenomenal this year. I mean, if you go and get a closer, all right, now you move Schreiber down to your 7th-inning guy, and then MacArthur's your 8th-inning guy, and then last night isn't an issue because you can go to Schreiber instead of Sam Long, but also between the margin stuff, it's going to be hitting on a Sam Long of, wow, you look up and in 15 innings he's got a 1.7 ERA, and I think his stuff's actually pretty good. That feels like a nice find for the Royals, even though last night he wasn't perfect. He, I think, has decent swing and miss stuff. His stuff moves a lot more than I thought it would be. Walter Pennington, your best pitcher, period, down in AAA, could be one of those guys you hit on, and when he comes up in late June or early July, it's, oh, now we feel good about him. In the same way, We felt good about John McMillan last year. Maybe McMillan finds his stride, and I think that is the winning between the margin. It might be acquiring a AAA guy that they like the stuff. The analytical department says that can play at the big league level. But I also think the Royals understand for this team to sustain being 5 to 10 games over 500, it could just be one. I imagine if they're going to make a trade, it's either for one big-name reliever or it's going to be for 2 good relievers. And in that matter, it's the quantity over the quality.
And the question is going to be for the Royals, do they feel like they have somebody down in the minors that can come up and be a 7th-inning guy? Is Pennington a lefty that guy? Is Sisk or Cruz a guy that might be able to come up?
Is Will Klein, who's currently here?
Yeah, right. I mean, are those guys? I mean, Cruz and Sisk were both for
Michael A. Taylor.
Michael A. Taylor, yeah, that's right. They both came over in the same deal. I was trying to figure out, it wasn't Witt, no, but who was it's Michael A. Taylor deal. Sisk and Cruz both came over. Maybe they are answers that the Royals may look at and go, if we go get one big piece at the end, and we bring up Pennington, and we got Klein and Sisk, and now you feel like you can get Schreiber and Stratton. Hey, we feel like we're pretty solid in the bullpen once we add that guy and a couple of live arms from the from Omaha that we feel like are good and seasoned, and now they're ready to come up and make their debuts in Major League Baseball.
Trade with the A's. Get me Lucas Irseg, who has a 2.86 and 11 strikeouts per 9. Austin Adams, who has 2.7 ERA and a 12.6 strikeouts per 9. And throw in Brett Rooker for good measure.
That's fine. Yeah.
Give me a corner outfielder, those 2 relievers who are not going to cost anything close to Mason Miller, and we're in business.
I don't know. Will all 3 of those cost you the same as Mason Miller? That's the question. And then, do you want to take
But
those 3
you
for
figure
the
more? I get it, but you figure out
I
more
agree.
holes.
Yeah.
More holes are now filled.
More Zone next. You know, we're talking about trades and costs. All right, wrapping up this hour. We'll take a timeout, come back. We'll continue talking some Royals. I want to talk about a few other things with the Royals. We'll hear from Seth Lugo. We'll hear from Bobby Witt Jr. after the game, what they had to say with that loss. We'll talk about Brady Singer, the opportunity in front of him tonight for this Royals team. Some bullpen stuff that we can get into and talk about. And then what other decisions need to be made with this Royals team in terms of the outfield. We've mentioned Hunter Renfroe swinging the bat better over the last month. Somebody who's not swinging the bat well over the last every game but the first week and a half. So we'll talk about those things certainly and more, and where this Royals team is right now with the number of games they've played against the Twins and now just one game against the Guardians, with maybe some perspective of what they've done so far versus what original expectations were and how those have changed.
The Zone is presented by Guaranteed Foods, delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Let's hear from Seth Lugo last night, who, heading into the 7th inning, I should say, had a quality start. 6 innings, 3 earned runs. Wasn't exactly as sharp as we've seen from Seth Lugo from the 4th inning on. First 3 innings, he was dominant. But here's Seth Lugo postgame on his outing against the Guardians.
Pretty good pitches. Just chalk that one up to tough luck. Feel like I controlled the strike zone well and mixed my pitches well, and just didn't get the results today.
What going pretty well through 3, and what kind of changed in the 4th for you?
Quan hit the double down line on a pitch a couple balls out of the strike zone, and then Ramirez did the same thing. I think that pitch was about 4 balls off the plate and just slapped it through the hole. And then Naylor got a changeup out of the zone and hit that one. So, like I said, just tough luck. I was executing pitches, and 9 times out of 10, those pitches are going to work.
The homer to Freeman too looked pretty low in the zone. Is that where you were looking for that?
Yeah, it's right where I wanted. I felt like he kind of ran into it. I think overall the whole night was just bad luck. But I'm happy with where I'm at and how I'm throwing the ball. So I'm just gonna stay right there and move on to the next one.
Did you feel good going into the 7th inning?
Yeah, I did. Especially with how many pitches and variations I'd shown those guys. I was comfortable going out there to face those next few guys.
All right, so just curious of what people make of the comments from Seth Lugo. So I understand the bigger picture for Seth Lugo when he talks after a game. He's typically even-keeled. When he's dominant, he sounds like that. When he has a rough outing, he sounds like that. And I know he's process over results. So, hey, those pitches, exactly where I wanted to put them. A little bad luck. Tough luck on the night. Freeman ran into one in a pitch where
I love that he ran into one.
The guy's batting .215 and has 4 home runs on the season, so he kind of ran into one. But still, I know what Seth Lugo is trying to say.
Wow.
In that it's the process, not necessarily the results. But Cleveland is the team that they are in not striking out a whole lot and being a tougher team to get out, even though the batting averages aren't 300 across the board. They are that team because they make it tough outs.
Yeah.
And Stephen Kwan's batting .360. So, that one was a tough pitch to hit. But I also don't know that it's tough luck against a guy that's batting .360. It was a really good pitch. Could it have been a little more inside? Yeah. Any more inside, they might have hit him. Like what happened in the game when he did hit. Was it Stephen Kwan that he hit?
Yes.
In the left. He did hit him before. In the game or after. After that, I think may have taken place. But still, the pitch to Ramirez, it was a 3-2 pitch. Ramirez is going to put it in play. And there was some tough luck in that it bounced right between, the shortstop and third base hole.
In fairness, runners in scoring position, more often than not, you can put the ball anywhere, and Jose is going to probably drive a run in. That's all he does.
Yeah, it's difficult. It was a 3-2 count. Naylor was a 2-1 pitch. That was a home run. It was a changeup in the zone. It wasn't outside the strike zone. It would have, again, depending on last night's floating strike zone, it probably would have been called a strike. I'm not sure. I do hear what he's trying to say, but there's a part of it that sort of comes off as I was good, they just got lucky. I know what he means by tough luck from a pitcher standpoint, as opposed to they're just lucky and they put the bat on the ball, and Kwan's hit was lucky and Naylor's hit was a changeup out of the zone. That was lucky. Freeman's hit was lucky. I don't think he was trying to say that, but it does come off as a little bit like, hey, I did my job. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. They just put the bat on the ball in some situations they shouldn't have, and it found some green grass. And hey, baseball happens sometimes.
Would it be better if he said, "I put the pitches where I wanted to"? But you have to tip your cap, and they got the best. Because that, I think, would have sounded better. I think that's what maybe he was trying to say. Maybe I'm wrong here. Instead of saying they got lucky, but he was basically saying, hey, I did what I was wanting to do. Their execution was just better. Instead of saying luck or just saying ran into one, just say they got the better of me when I thought I made a pretty good pitch. Because he's somewhat correct. He didn't just throw it down the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like these were just
He wasn't necessarily
hanging
missing
curves.
he wasn't missing his spots. In fairness, he never said they got lucky.
Sure. Ran into one
He
sounds
said
like.
he said I faced tough luck and there was bad luck for me. Interpret that what you will. Whether that's Seth Lugo's way of saying, hey, tip your cap to the other guy, I felt like I pitched the pitches I wanted to.
I think it was a little bit of frustration. He's a very even-keeled guy.
Yeah.
He's not going to say too much, and that's kind of the Royals clubhouse in general. I mean, how many guys are really animated in the postgame? I do think what he's probably highlighting is, even though there were some great at-bats by Cleveland, I'm sure he felt like the little dribbler that Jose Ramirez had just against the shift. That was probably a frustrating point for him because then right after that, Josh Naylor goes yard and it becomes 5-3 instead of maybe 5-2 if that ball finds the glove of Maikel Garcia or Bobby Witt Jr. I think with Tyler Freeman, I remember going into that bat, I'm thinking, man, Will Brennan just singled into the shift, right? They were placed up just at the wrong...
That was a seventh inning.
Yeah.
And a 1-2 count.
A 1-2 count, so he's probably frustrated there. Will Brennan just guides it through the hole. Is good hitting there. And then Tyler Freeman, I remember thinking that bat, I go, well, I mean, this is probably his last batter, but at least he's not going yard. He's only got 4 home runs on the year. And then a curveball below the zone. He golfs it out of there. And, Seth Lugo's on the mound with his hands on his head going, how? And I think that was the frustration of I just had a quality start taken from me by some guy who was OPSing around like 600, it felt like, if not a little bit under that. And he didn't just get into he didn't run into it. He bombed it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a couple rows up into the left center field bleachers. But I felt like he thought the pitch was fine. And I think 9 times out of 10, you get Tyler Freeman out on a pitch like that. So to him, it probably was, man, I had a start where I would have been, not that he needs it, but champion for it. Hey, that's grinding through 6 innings. It's another quality start against your first place opponent. And then now you look up and it's tie game, 5 runs, your most runs you give up in an outing this year, and you're chased by a guy who was the 8-hole hitter that tied the game with a 2-run shot, and it was only his 5th home run of the year.
Who's a bigger Royal killer, Jose Ramirez or Travis Hafner? I feel like in Royals history,
it's Maglio Ordonez.
You think Maglio?
I would say
I was saying with Cleveland / Indians,
I know.
like because A-Rod also had his, and Jim Thome had his, but as far as like Jose versus like Travis Hafner, Grady Sizemore felt like he had a couple years stretch where he really got
what a
the
name.
got the Royals. But
I would say if you're going just divisional opponents, Frank Thomas is number 1. Canerco
with the
not
A's,
far-
right? You're talking about Frank Thomas with the A's.
Blue Jays.
Yeah.
It's
Blue
weird,
Jays,
man.
Frank Thomas.
It's weird. When I think of Royal killers in the division, the first one I go to is Maglio Ordonez.
Lindor was awful too. Lindor hit like 400 against the Royals, but J-Rom, I think just does
he's
it
great
to
against everybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm trying to think of a guy who like was good but not necessarily. Like I feel like Travis Hafner every time he came to the plate was just it was gone.
Yeah,
it was gone.
No, he was a monster in the box.
But that's Jose Ramirez against the Royals, by the way, because
It's
every
against
time he
everybody,
comes
though,
up,
man.
but you're right, against everyone too. But anytime there's a runner on base, when he came up and there was a chance for a runner to score, I go, you guys count it. I go, just count it.
Oh,
It's over. He's gonna score a run.
The 2-out strikeout
3 pitches too.
was like, okay, that's the biggest at bat of the game.
I was
Lugo got
shocked.
through it, and we're gonna look back and go, bases loaded, 1 out with Jimenez and Ramirez up, and Lugo found a way to work himself through that. Wow, what an outing. Now try to get one of the next 2 and take the series from Cleveland, but that obviously wasn't the case. Here's Bobby Witt after the game, where you kind of have to weigh the Royals having the 5 runs in large part to Bobby Witt's 2 different home runs and giving him 4 RBIs, and also then a pretty bad error in the 7th inning. Here's Bobby Witt starting off talking about that error.
Made a mistake, cost us the game, and so Should have just thrown the ball to first, make the play, and yeah, that's about it.
How much factor did Naylor's lead play into that? He was pretty far off the base.
Not as much as I just kind of slow played it and should have just made the decision to throw it to first.
Obviously, tough error there, but you had a pretty good day at the plate. What were you seeing out there against the pitching?
Yeah, just got good pitches over the middle of the plate and made some good swings.
How do you balance a day like this when you guys are in that position to be able to win it because of what you did at the plate, but then also obviously frustration with the defense?
Yeah, you learn from it, and you try not to make those mistakes. You got to do the little things right, and tonight I didn't, and so I just got to move on and learn from it.
Would you see out of Seth tonight being able to play behind him?
Yeah, he was doing his thing pretty much the whole game, and they made some good swings, and yeah, that's about it.
Did this game show you kind of what the series might look like, both this week, season overall against these guys?
Yeah, definitely. It shows that we're both going to be competitive teams, and it's going to be a battle, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Obviously, tough way to lose this game, but do you feel more confident about this team, where they're at, where it looked like you guys were going to win the rest of the game?
Yeah, 100%. That play doesn't happen, we may still be playing, so just got to move on and get back at it tomorrow.
Him talking about, I cost us the game, and thinking about how great the game was for Bobby Witt and putting his stamp on an MVP race, and like, okay, Bobby Witt is now a part of the team that has pressure, that's winning and trying to compete and trying to win a division or make the playoffs, and this is the biggest series he would have played in his life starting tonight, and his first 3 at-bats, he's got 2 home runs and 4 RBIs and 2 runs scored, and wow, amazing. Look what he's doing. And then, of course, that error in the 7th. It reminds me of, like, the way I would describe it from a football standpoint is Phillip Rivers completing 70% of his passes, 350 yards and 3 touchdowns, but on the final drive throws a terrible interception in the end zone. And you're like, Phillip Rivers, I mean, he's the reason they lose the game. Well, he's also the reason that you were even in the game. And his 350 yards and 3 touchdowns probably should have been good enough to win. So that mistake shouldn't have really been a mistake that was there because you shouldn't have been in that position.
It's the Halloween game when you had a chance to kneel. Was it Monday night, Halloween? They had a chance to kneel. He fumbles, and was it Studebaker?
Studebaker
fell out of the game. But that's what it's like. No, you're not in that situation unless Phillip Rivers does all the great things before it. That is such a perfect comparison.
But he did not cost the Royals the game. I understand him saying that. Like, it is weird hearing those back-to-back, right? Like Seth Lugo of like, well, I made my pitches. I just ran in some tough luck, some bad luck. And Bobby Witt, I cost us the game. My mistake. I should have just gone to first. No, Naylor's lead didn't have anything to do with it. I slow played it. I should have gone to first.
How much do you love that answer, though?
I love it from Bobby Witt. He didn't cost him the game.
No.
I don't believe that for a second. I think he believes that. I truly, honestly believe he went to bed last night thinking I cost us the game, but that is not true.
I hope it doesn't kill his confidence at the plate or in the field. I don't think it will. Like I don't think he's going to get down on himself because of it. But I love a guy who has 4 RBIs, 2 home runs, the face of the franchise. He's 23 years old and says, "I made 1 error, a tough play. That's on me." In a situation where Naylor did a great job, Nick Lofton probably could have done something different. Vinny Pasquantino still could have picked it,
Yeah.
And Bobby says, "That's still on me." And I love that for a guy taking the responsibility. No excuses, just results. Dude, Bobby Witt Jr., this is what you want as the face of the franchise.
I don't know. Maybe if it was 5-4 in that situation, or still 5-3, and that error happens, I'm a little bit more fired up about it. But honestly, when the game got tied, I had 10% confidence the Royals are going to win that game. And again, the error is going to be the one we remember. As you said, we'll remember it this entire season, whether the Royals make the playoffs or not, because it was the first game against Cleveland, and it was a bases-clearing error, right? And that's the 4th time in the last week the bases have been cleared against Royals pitching. Now, that was the first error, but they had a base-clearing situation in Minnesota, Tampa, and then against San Diego. So it feels like those situations are not going in their favor. But, yeah, I mean, the Royals had 1 run outside of it. It was Hunter Renfroe's home run. He had 4 runs. 4 RBIs, 2 home runs in that game. The air was bad, but it's also a 5-run lead that was blown. I don't put this game. It's a moment. that, he wants to have back, but he didn't blow the game for the team. He'll take that responsibility because it's what we remember, but the game was tied at that point. I did not think the Royals were going to get a single run off Cleveland's bullpen.
Yeah, if that was the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs and you're up by 1 and there's a runner at second and third and you take an easy grounder and throw it into the stands,
On you.
Yeah, on Vlad Jr. dropping a ball that's thrown right to him at first base.
Good call.
Yeah, that's one where you go, you kind of cost your team the
Chip
game.
Hombres dropping the fly ball.
Cost your team the game.
On him.
That's right. You actually lose 1 WAR. No matter what your WAR is, you lose 1. It's just a -1. You had a 4 WAR. It's now 3. It's immediately 3 because of that play. But that's not the case for Bobby last night in that air, because I'm totally with you. And the second that Freeman, ball left the yard, I was like, well, there. You got 3 innings now of the bullpen versus the best bullpen, and the Royals and Quatrero not knowing who to trust and go to. I don't feel good about this because even if it's tied, I see a walk-off coming in the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah. I was actually just laughing thinking of Willie Bloomquist when he actually dropped. Everything was opening day. I was at the game. It was a long time ago. Just look up Willie Bloomquist, and it was either the first batter or the first inning. It was a pop-up, and he just dropped it. And I go, that's the season. Right there. If Willie Bloomquist he was batting like second and he's your starting third baseman and that's the play, we've come a long way, Kansas City. But again, just in the grand scheme of things, I get it. We all know it's not Bobby Witt Jr.'s fault the Royals lost this game, but I like the face of the franchise not putting blame on anyone else, just saying that's on me. That's what a leader does.
Yeah.
Like
he's
Mahomes.
young and he's standing at his locker every freaking game, good or bad. He's there talking, and the media knows when we go in the clubhouse, we know we can talk to Bobby Witt. That ain't something you get very often.
When Mahomes made a phenomenal pass and MVS dropped it,
Oh, yeah, that's
what
right.
was said post-game? It wasn't blaming MVS. It wasn't saying something that's going to happen.
I could have thrown it shorter.
I could have thrown it a couple inches shorter. Like, that's what Bobby Witt Jr. is basically saying. Yes, Nick Lofton could have came to second. Yes, Vinny Pasquantino could have scooped that ball. A whole bunch of things. Yes, you couldn't have let 3 guys on base beforehand.
Yeah.
But he said, that's on me. That's what Mahomes does. That's what Bobby does.
913-912-4810. Text says, I'm not hating on Bobby, but I do have a question about philosophy in Major League Baseball. I was always taught growing up with 2 outs, you make your out at first base. I'm not in Major League Baseball, though, but I'm constantly seeing them go to second on risky opportunities instead of going to first. Why is that? Oftentimes it's, see, here's the thing. It's like you're taught growing up, just go to first. We teach our 8-year-olds, take the easy out. If there's a man at first and there's 2 outs and you field the ball next to second base, I don't want you throwing it to first. I want you to step on the bag. Like, make the easy play. It's on you. I know you're only 8, but it's on you to make the read as to what the easy play is. Yes, we can go 2 down, out at first. When there's nobody on first, then make the easy throw across the diamond, or what should be an easy throw across the diamond. We're talking about big leaguers that should make that throw every time, and the first baseman would catch it almost every time, at least scoop it, 97, 98% of the time. That first baseman's going to catch it or make the scoop. But it's Major League Baseball. You take an easy out, and if you can step on the bag and ground balls to Garcia, I'm throwing it to second base. It's actually a shorter throw. It's an easier throw to go to second base than it is to go across the diamond to first.
Practice that as often.
Oh, I bet the Major League Baseball's practice it all the time.
No, you do, but not as often as going to first. Going to first, I think for Major League Baseball, that is the easy out. I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but
but that's like saying, I don't practice a corner. I don't practice an elbow jumper as much as I practice a 3-pointer, but I'm a professional basketball player, so that elbow jumper I'm practicing is still 1,000 shots a day that I'm taking.
I completely agreed, but I think for these guys, I think even for Bobby, maybe I'm wrong. The easy out would be going to first base in that situation. That would be taking the. No, I get it. Looking back, hindsight's 20/20.
If he fields that and throws to first low, and Vinny can't scoop it, and you go, just step on second base. That's the easy out. Just step on second base. Why not take the easy out?
And then we'd say Bo Naylor was hustling down the line.
But
Josh Naylor. Sorry, Cleveland. Come on.
But we wouldn't have known how quickly Bobby could have got. If he just fielded it and threw to first and airmailed, it'd be like, just step on second base. You're already heading towards second.
I'll admit
your momentum.
I'm angry. I'm angry, Jason.
When it first happened, I said the same. Just throw it to first. But I'm like, all right, look, calm down. Calm down. All right, let's examine this. Where was Nick Lofton? Why didn't he do it? And then seeing the all 9
I love the all 9.
View.
I love
All
that.
9.
The all 9 view, seeing
Well,
that.
it's the all 18 actually. Well, no.
No, it's just 9.
Because
Yeah.
it's the all 22. That's
Yeah,
22.
it's both because there's
But
22 on the field.
guys
There's only
on
like
base.
that.
So all 9 plus the pitcher.
It's a great save attempt there.
Thank you.
So
all 13. All 13.
Sure.
Also, Vinny Pasquantino, we would get yelled at in junior college for not digging that out of the ground.
Yeah.
So, I
And-
mean,
and again,
a major league first baseman,
I think Vinny.
let's go ahead and scoop it.
I think Vinny would probably sit there at his locker and go, "I've got to scoop that. I cost us the game."
When it touches every part of the first base mitt, it's kind of like wide receivers catching a football.
And again, Vinny would have to tell you what was going through his mind and how he was reading that. But looking at the all 9 from behind the home plate, if you stare only at Vinny in that play, as Bobby's running to second, Vinny relaxes a little bit. And then as Bobby starts to throw it, he all of a sudden bends his knees and reaches out. And I think that's why he got the middle hop instead of the short hop or the long hop.
You got to be ready so you don't
Oh,
get
for sure.
ready,
But again, he might go, no, that's actually how I do it every. How often are you looking at
And
the
you're
all
right.
9
Yeah.
on every throw
All
to
13,
me?
but yeah.
Yes, but
and there's not a lot of wasted motion, so we don't want Vinny sprinting to first.
sprinting
every
first,
single part.
being
Yeah,
knees
right.
bent or whatever.
This
But
isn't-
it certainly looked like there was a little bit of a relaxation. Like, okay, he's going to second. No bleep. Let me get down, try to scoop this, and I'm not necessarily in great position because now I'm lunging
Right.
and didn't have my feet set, and my mind wasn't ready to go and say wherever this ball's going, I'm going to scoop it. So his gloves in the middle hop instead of 5 inches
all out of
forward, which
sync,
would be the
basically.
ping short hop.
And those are the hardest ones for first
yeah.
baseman and just any infielder in
And
general.
Vinny's awesome at that.
He's been great all season long. I mean, I looked up his fielding this year. He's in the 85th percentile.
Like honestly,
I mean, he's been great.
I really believe that if nobody was on base and Bobby makes that exact same throw, because Vinny is the plays at first, I'm ready, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm reading the throw all the way in from this position, from the line of sight that I practice 100 times a day, 200 times a day, and I can read where the short hop's going to be, and now I'm going to sweep my glove through it, and we're going to go into the dugout
He
and call it
needed to
an
sweep his
inning.
glove because this was actually to his, since being a lefty.
Yeah.
It was actually should have been an easier scoop for him because it wasn't a backhand. It was a front hand.
Yeah. But,
It's a great
things
point,
happen.
Jason, because honestly, it seemed like both guys were on the same page twice at the wrong time.
Yeah,
like
right.
both of them were like, "Oh, he's going to
He's
second.
going to
Oh
second
no,
base.
he's coming to
I'm
first."
going to second base. Oh crap! Now I got to throw it, and I've rushed it to throw it, and now it's off a little bit to my left,
Mahomes'
his right.
fault. He's been watching Mahomes too much. Tried to.
Exactly. It's a sidearm thing. Yeah.
I think in the end you just kind of chalk it up to a discombobulation.
It
Like
happens.
I don't have an issue with the
terrible
way
play.
Bobby threw it because he throws nearly every single double play ball like that. He steps on the bag and does the sidearm fling.
Yeah.
The ball. With the way the shift was, it allowed Naylor to have a big lead. The way the ball was hit, the way it led him to the bag, it made him think, oh, it's 50-50. If it was hit a little bit lower, maybe he comes in front of the bag and he throws it to first base.
Yeah.
Maybe if he slided over a little bit, he can get an easier step. It's like everything had to happen in that moment to turn into a discombobulation because then Vinny goes, oh, he's going to second. Oh, no, he's actually coming to me. Where instead, maybe if he sees the ball go a different way, I'm busting my ass to first base. I'm ready for the ball wherever it's going to happen. But I have no issue with him throwing it or trying to step on second and then go to first because that's not really the debate. Is not the decision. It's just we're talking about it because the throw was an error. Like if he gets it and then, as you said, airmails it, why didn't he step on second base?
Yeah.
That's what the conversation is.
It's unfortunate because it did feel like a confluence of events, but that becomes a huge talking point because it's easier to focus on that. And we have talked about it, but we spent more time today so far talking about how they even got in that position and why they were in that position for that play to be made when they had a 5-0 lead. Last week against the Twins, they had a 4-0 lead, and they couldn't hold on to either one of them. Those are your Central Division opponents, your rivals. You have to win those games. Like, it's 5-0 with Seth Lugo on the mound.
Yep.
Like, you got to win that. That felt like 2 losses last night.
And what he'll learn too, I think, and it's so hard for a competitor to think this in the moment. If you just pocket that ball and say, you know what, I made a mistake. I got in between 2 options and didn't make the right one of either one, and I just pocket it, you save 2 runs.
Yeah. So I don't know what player is going to pocket that.
No,
and
I'm
try-
saying
yeah,
it's
but
impossible to do in the
yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
But when you're older, I do feel like you do have a little more, knowledge and
I was
just
going to say, as younger, we can't get him to pocket it when the player's already passed first.
right.
Why you throwing it? He's already on the. Why are you throwing it? What's the pickoff where you threw it to second base? He hadn't even got off the bag yet. What are we
But
doing
Jason,
here?
the real win is the friends we made along the way.
What happens too if he, as you said, the pocket ball? What if he runs the second and then Naylor beats him to the bag and he stands there and doesn't throw it? They're down 6-5, and you go, why the hell didn't he throw the ball? Fry wasn't there yet.
Right.
What
No,
if-
I agree. I'm saying it would look absolutely weird.
What if there's a glitch in the game?
We also
and
gave
he
up
just
3 runs because he threw
runs
the
into
same.
right field with the ball, and they
all
all
the runs,
three
yeah.
run around, and it's like,
Same
what?
result.
Why is this? And you're pressing all the buttons, and he won't throw the
You know
ball.
what,
Like, what
though?
if that happens?
Dog, all I care is that we are 62 games into the season, and we care this much
I know.
about a
I'm with you.
single play.
I'm with you.
Baseball's back in KC, baby.
Yes, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We will come back and talk a little bit more about that. Some other things we'll get into with Chiefs, NFL coming up in the noon hour. More Zone right after this. against Adam Frazier in left field. Is it they're already showing their hand a little bit that even against righties they're not going to be playing MJ Melendez? Is that a sign of what could be a move around the corner? I don't know. They given him a mental day with the day off Monday. Now you get 2 days off, sort of a couple of mental days before you get back out there against a righty, on Wednesday night, which is tonight. Today's Wednesday. On Wednesday, we'll give you a couple of days off. But I thought it interesting that Tristan McKenzie did not switch hands last night from a lefty to a righty and MJ not in the lineup.
And I could be completely wrong, but I don't know if he plays tonight because Nick Sandlin's the opener and Logan Allen's the bulk pitcher and Logan Allen's a lefty.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I don't think they want to start MJ for one at bat.
Yeah, that's true.
And then, he's going to have lefty on lefty the rest of the game. I don't know if it's a sign of things to come because I'll just stand by it. I'm not sold the fixes in Omaha. I mean, the month of May, Drew Waters' OBP was south of 300. So do you want to call him up when he's struggling? I mean, yeah, the argument can be made. It can't be worse.
I'll take a 250 on base percentage right now.
But yeah, I mean, the question is like if you send MJ down and he just tears it up, well, then the answer is that switch from Omaha to the big leagues is pretty large.
But at least we have more of an idea of okay now. He's not just in his head. This is just simply the player that he is. He's going to rake in AAA and can't hit big league pitching.
I'm not overly concerned because I also think this is the way that Matt Quatrero uses his lineups. If there's the righty-righty splits, right? Sometimes if there's a right-hander on the mound, it doesn't necessarily mean put a bunch of lefties in there. He might be better against lefties than against righties. And I think last night
was the first. I saw it from Lesky. The first night where it was not a reverse split. So last night was the first night where if you are going to be, if there was something to look more into, last night was the first night they should have done it with MJ.
And the numbers have been awful since I think it was you that put it out there, Jason. I mean, pitcher worse than a pitcher over the last 2 months, and I don't view him as an everyday player. That's what I'll say, and it's kind of the same way I view Adam Frazier, Garrett Hampson.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could replace him, but I don't think you're replacing him with an everyday player unless it's a trade.
But if he's not an everyday player, he's not a fourth outfielder. He's not good defensively, and he doesn't steal bases. So what is he? That's my whole point. Is
liability?
Yes, he is. Seems like a fine guy. Seems like a fine dude. But you don't go to the majors being a fine dude if you can't bring something to the table. You're not bringing it offensively. You're not bringing it stealing bases. And quite frankly, you're not bringing it defensively even if you have a great arm. Then what are you bringing to the table? At least like Dairon Blanco brings speed. Garrett Hampson brings positional versatility. Adam Frazier, a little bit positional versatility and can at least draw a walk, getting on base at over 300. What is a 167, 227, 327 slash line bringing to the table?
And my point is, I know it's not the answer. Like if you were to go out and trade for a corner outfielder from a team that is not going to, be doing much this year, but it may not be the answer. Like, all right, you're $10,000 in debt. Okay, well, here's $3,000. No, thank you. I need $10,000. Well, the 3 can help you get to 10. So it may not be the answer, but Drew Waters is better than MJ Melendez. I believe Drew Waters would be better than MJ Melendez at the big league level. We've seen in 130 games, it's a smaller sample size, but, I mean, I'll take a 677 OPS right now because that's the situation the Royals are sitting in that, well, Drew Waters last year, 98 games, the only OPS at 677. Sign me up, I guess, right now from what they're getting.
And speed.
Yeah, and he's, steals 16 bases last year in 130 games, so that, gives you around 20 bags a year, And roughly 16 home runs if he was playing a full season. MJ can run into him. But, I tweeted it out this morning that, Randy had talked about what MJ Melendez is doing since April 12th and the numbers that he has. And I don't know if you saw this, Sterling, or Dylan or Jack or whoever, but MJ Melendez batting 169, getting on base at 189, slugging 209 for a 398 OPS. Oh, wait, sorry, that was Tony Pena Jr. He's batting 133 with a 193 on-base percentage and a 222 slug for a 415 OPS. Oh, wait, sorry, that was Chris Owings. He's batting 171 with a 252 on-base percentage, A 324 slug for a 576. Oh, wait, sorry. That was Lucas Duda in 2019 before he was DFA'd. MJ Melendez since April 12th. These are actually his numbers. 117, 157, 219. He's a 376 OPS.
Give me Victor Zambrano.
Tony Pena Jr. was a 398 OPS in 2008 when he was one of the worst hitters in baseball. Chris Owings was DFA'd after 40 games because he was a 415 OPS. By the way, this is 41 games for MJ Melendez since April 12th. Lucas Duda, DFA'd after 39 games in 2019 because of his 576 OPS. MJ Melendez, 41 games, 376 OPS. Well, he's not Owings or Duda or Tony Pena, so we can't move on from him because maybe he's the answer if he could just figure it out because he's got more of a track record in what he did in the minor leagues. But if you change his name to any one of those three, those were guys that were constantly viewed as the problem, and you got to get rid of them. What a terrible move by Dayton Moore in signing Owings and bringing back Lucas Duda after you traded him. And look how bad it is, and it took you 40 games to realize that one. I mean.
Am I taking crazy pills?
You are.
At least Owings played D. Again, I'm not saying those guys shouldn't have been DFA'd, but what's the
right? Those guys should have been DFA'd,
yes,
but MJ Melendez shouldn't be up in the big leagues right now.
Down. I don't understand. I don't get it. For the life of me, I don't understand it. Even if you don't want to call up Drew Waters because you think there's trade value, then call up another guy who's a quad A player. I'm telling you, at least get someone who can. If it's Dairon Blanco, fine.
Play him every day in left field.
If this is the conversation of okay, last night was the start of Quatraro saying, I don't care if he's on the roster, he ain't playing. I don't care if you're putting him on here. JJ, he ain't playing. If that's the case, fine. I can entertain it because he is not a fourth outfield. That's not what MJ Melendez is. He can't play defense. He's not a guy you're going to call up in the eighth inning like Gerard Dyson and say, go in there. It's not even Terrence Gore where you go, all right, come on now, late game, go steal me a base. He's just sitting on the bench.
I think
and he didn't pinch hit last night.
The one thing keeping him on the roster, and whether it's liked or not, the thing that's keeping him on the roster is simply just the ceiling of the player. And I know we can talk about potential and ceiling all the time, but I'm sure they are looking back to last year and the second half that he had and said, if you get that in the second half, regardless of what his numbers are before the second half, it makes the Royals incredibly better with that lineup. And I almost do wonder a little bit if they view a little bit of Ryan O'Hearn and MJ Melendez with that similarity of, hey, we can't figure him out, but then he goes and becomes a great player, a middle of the lineup bat for a team that is not just a contender, arguably the second best team in the American League behind the New York Yankees. I mean, Ryan O'Hearn, I remember multiple times on shows just going, why the hell do they still keep him here? Why do they give him at bats? Why are they starting him? It makes no sense. And for MJ, the difference between the Owings and the Duda, and even guys on the roster right now like Blanco or Adam Frazier, Garrett Hampson, it is purely ceiling. That if you think you can get him going, I mean, that's what I believe it is.
Yeah.
He would be in AAA right now if they felt like there wasn't a ceiling there.
Yeah.
So they think there has to be some fix. There has to be some stretch where something clicks, just like it did last year. There was that series in Minnesota right before the second half where people said it's time for a demotion to Omaha, and then the second half happened, and he wasn't a phenomenal hitter.
He did get a break through the All-Star game.
He got a break. He got the reset, and I wonder if they're looking at that and saying, let's just get to that point. He can have a full week off. Then the danger of, we talked about this last week, you demote him, and he struggles. You've lost him. You can't get him back at that point because then all the confidence is gone. I can't hit big league pitching. I can't hit AAA pitching.
Well, then it wasn't meant to be.
Maybe. But I also think that the Royals view him as somebody that if they're going to be there in October, he's got to be some form of it. He has to be some part of that lineup offensively and defensively.
So that's my question. There's a term in the NFL that some players are on scholarship because they are the babies of a general manager or a coach or an owner that really liked the pick. Is this a situation where MJ Melendez is a scholarship player with one of the front office guys who had him or still thinks that there's something there because they drafted him? I don't know, because it's really just Piccolo, right, from the old regime that drafted him?
To a degree, yeah. I mean, it certainly feels like that. That's all that's left. I mean, yeah, the Chris Smith on the New York Knicks is the last player because J.R. Smith was on the New York Knicks, and there's
Jalen Brunson's dad
Yes.
coaching on the Knicks.
Giannis Antetokounmpo's
Yes,
because of Giannis.
was it who was for Duke? Not Okafor, but since Okafor, and he was a top pick in the NBA
Jaleel?
draft. Yes,
Yep.
not Jaleel Okafor, but
Emeka?
Emeka?
no, it's not Okafor. It's been since then.
The Bobcats.
No, with Duke. He was a big man. Either way, he played on his AAU team. His dad ran and got $300,000 a year because his dad ran the AAU team for Nike, and it was just
Wow.
like God, not Melvin Ingram, but Mark. But that's
Brandon?
No, not Brandon.
Marvin Bagley?
Marvin Bagley.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Marvin Bagley. Thank you. We were going to get there. Okay, we were going to get there eventually.
Melvin Ingram.
It might have been 115, but we were going to get to
Melvin Ingram got it.
Yes,
I mean, that was awesome.
We were going to get there to Bagley with his dad getting all that money because Bagley was the draw, and a bunch of his friends the AAU team was trash because it was Bagley and his friends.
You know
and
what
it was
fun
like,
that
we
is?
keep losing, but hey, I'm getting all this gear from Nike and everybody else
That
because
really
I'm
is the
hanging out and
friends you
traveling
make
around
along the way. That
traveling
really
around
is.
with Bagley. That's great. Good for them. But maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's MJ Melendez, is that he's the mascot to hang out with Bobby Witt, and somebody has to throw the bucket on Bobby Witt if Bobby Witt's the guy getting the bucket. So MJ Melendez has to be the splash guy, because without MJ Melendez, who's going to splash Bobby Witt when he's the guy that has the
It's like
big
the
game?
get back coach.
You need a get back coach, man.
I have it. He's a vibe guy. He's the vibe guy. What he's doing is he
Drew
brings
Waters brings the vibe down.
Yeah,
MJ
apparently.
Melendez lifts it up.
because you can't have water throwing water. That wouldn't work. That's I think
Yeah.
it's too on the nose. Melendez has to be the guy.
Yeah.
He must have a great playlist.
I don't-
He must have a great playlist. Or
Mm-hmm.
there's a situation where whoever wins in Madden or whatever games they play, video games, why you get to stay in the roster, and he's just very good at video games.
We also need to acknowledge the possibility he's got pictures of somebody. It's got some.
Surprisingly, they're of me.
It's got something
and
there
Jason,
that,
whoa, Jason, of you?
Text 913-912-4810 says, I feel like we need to keep the perspective that this defense has been absolutely stellar so far this season. This is the first event we really have to nitpick.
Whose defense?
The Royals. I mean, I don't disagree.
Oh,
but-
okay. I think you're talking about MJ Melendez
No, he's just,
specifically.
it was just talking overall about, us. That I went back. That text was as we were having a larger discussion about the play in the seventh inning, and I totally agree. The defense has been amazing, and it's one play that stands out, but the defense is a big reason why the pitching staff's numbers have been as great as they have, and this team is in position to win games where the offense isn't coming through.
Yeah, and again, this was not a knock on Bobby Witt Jr., who's been, I mean, that one play, yes,
Yeah.
but in totality, Bobby Witt Jr.'s been
Yeah.
the best defensive shortstop in baseball all season long. Do you guys know where he ranks his range in baseball?
Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby.
99th.
I'd probably say 99th.
100th percentile. He has been
Oh.
the best
There you go.
ranging shortstop in baseball. That's, again, we can nitpick a single play while still understanding the larger picture of Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade for there's not a single player in baseball that I would take over Bobby Witt Jr. right now. Not a single player. Because what he does is he steals bases. He's a phenomenal defensive player at a premium position. His bat is just electric. Bobby Witt Jr. went to the lab in the offseason a couple of years ago and said, I'm going to be the best dang shortstop in baseball. And he has been that.
Yeah.
It's been so damn impressive. But yeah, in totality, I mean, Adam Frazier's been good defensively. Michael Massey, when he's healthy, has been great defensively. Nick Lofton's been a little bit up and down. Vinny, right? Vinny Pasquantino, we thought he might be a DH only. I know we're nitpicking that specific play.
Right, but
he's
he's
been
been
great.
good.
He's been great. Michael Garcia has been phenomenal at third base. Kyle Isabel, yet again, great. Hunter Renfro's not fast, but his arm's been great.
Yeah. He's been fine in right field.
Freddie Fermin and Salvia. I mean, Salvi for the knock against him, framing and all that stuff. The metrics don't like him. He's been better metric-wise this year. I mean, Salvi, by himself, I was making fun of the nerds, myself included, who talk all about analytics. You saw him a few games ago. Ball in the dirt, runner on third base. He stopped him. Runner on first base. Next guy, what's he do? Throws him out. Like, Salvador Perez has been great defensively. It's just... yes, when we've seen great defensive plays all season long, we're going to probably nitpick on the one that
for sure.
is
It
brutal.
happens. It happens. Text 913-912-4810. And I do want to preface that we spent a good portion of the first hour talking about this, but in case people didn't hear, or just to reiterate, text says, forget MJ Melendez. He's not the biggest problem. The bullpen is trash. That's the issue. They don't have one reliable reliever. It's ridiculous. And then next text says, what about the bullpen? 30 ERA the last week and a half. The offense really isn't the problem. If you score 5 runs every game, you should never lose. Well, I don't know about the never lose part because, even if your bullpen's amazing, you're, starter might give up more than 5 runs, 6 runs, whatever. But point still stands. Yeah, we're talking about MJ Melendez in this specific segment because we're talking about overall this Royals team. The first part of the show was, one, you have to win that game last night. But also, Seth Lugo goes out there for the 7th inning because there is no trust in the bullpen. And there isn't a guy right now that you feel confident in that you can go to the bullpen and win. And it's also why I say that I don't think Bobby Witt cost them the game, because it was 5-5 at that point. And the Royals would have had to beat the best bullpen in baseball by scoring runs while also limiting the Guardians' offense with the worst bullpen in baseball, or one of the worst bullpens, certainly worse stuff in baseball. That's not ideal for a position for them to be in.
Real quick. The bullpen's been horrendous. We know that. I'm James MacArthur. I don't have a ton of faith in anymore. When do we see Will Klein get a larger role late in games? Now, again, tiny sample size. Has been, 3 games?
We saw Long get in there yesterday right after Lugo. So I think Quatrero's searching. I think he's trying to find the guy that will step up and fill a role that is desperately needed on this team.
It'll take what happened with MacArthur all the way back in that second homestand of the year when they faced the White Sox. Will Smith came in to close the game.
Yeah, that's right.
Got one out. They went to MacArthur. It's going to take Sam Long. That was his opportunity. And I think he's been really good since coming up. But he tried that because if Sam Long does his job, well, then the next time you have a 1-run lead or you're tied, might be Sam Long in the 7th.
Yep. Text says about MJ Melendez, he's Cam Irving. So that's funny. We'll take a timeout, come back. More Zone next. All right, wrapping up this hour, we will talk some Chiefs football. We'll talk some scoop and score in the next hour. Talk about the Dolphins contract situations as well that are going on. Mick Schaefer will join us in the 1 o'clock hour. Jack, thank you for stopping by, man. I really appreciate it. How was the Wichita golf tournament?
Oh, it was fun. Great weather out there. Didn't take any swings, but that's probably best for the public
No
out
cuts?
there.
No cuts?
None of them.
I don't think I'd be doing anybody any favors.
You know what? You'd be giving the maintenance crews some work.
Houses in
job
trouble.
security.
How a lot of window companies would love you.
It's true. That's true.
There you go.
Spokesperson.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back on the other side of the break. Where are the Chiefs going? To the Super Bowl in New Orleans, but maybe to Kansas as well.
since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Certainly get his thoughts on the Royals and the series last night. Game number 1, game 2 coming up tonight. Some Chiefs stuff along the way as well. But if you listened into the program yesterday, the program, not the zone, this program, but the program with Soren Petro, Curtis Seabolt, Adam Dravetta yesterday, then you heard the news that Soren was breaking about what's going on in the Kansas legislature and the special session coming up June 18th that is going to be called, that is expected to look at and discuss and maybe vote on a star bonds issue that would fund a new stadium and district around New Arrowhead Stadium on the Kansas side, with the money going to the stadium by the star bonds and not necessarily requiring the team to put in any amount of money specifically for that stadium, and no tax increase, no sales tax increase, no property or whatever taxes increases on the Kansas side. And that conversation yesterday that Soren had in breaking it all down, and then talking with Representative Tarwater on the show and discussing all of the different ins and outs. And, of course, it's called Scoop and Score because, as they put it, Frank White has fumbled the opportunity for the Chiefs and the Royals to stay in Missouri, so they are scooping and scoring to try to get the Chiefs and even the Royals over to the Kansas side. And what
Phenomenal.
what I said at the onset when this thing was voted against, when the vote came down no in April, and we discussed it, and it's like, okay, people have their say, they have their vote. There are different reasons as to why people voted no. Understandable. I get it. I would have loved for the Royals to move downtown. To me, it was more about the Royals than it was the Chiefs, because the Chiefs were signing on to a 25-year lease. The Royals were 40. The Chiefs were essentially saying, this is the last renovation we will have at Arrowhead, and then we will need to move. If this was a long-term, we're staying here, our forever home, then we would sign a 40-year lease. But we're not going to. It's 20, 25 years where the Royals are saying this is going to be our new home for the foreseeable future. It's a 40-year lease. That was about when they were connected. To me, it was more about the Royals moving downtown and wanting to get a downtown ballpark. That may still happen. Who knows what may come of the Royals part of this. But what I said at the time is when they separate and go their separate ways with their own lease and not be connected and tied at the hip like they have been since the Truman Sports Complex came about, that it was a get-out-of-jail-free card for Clark Hunt, in that we told you the priority was to stay at Arrowhead. We told you that. We even told you that in the degree of putting it on the ballot, to you voting for it, us putting in, $500 or $300 million for the $800 million that was going to go to the Chiefs.
The bridge.
That's right. The activation zone that was in the end zone suites. The $800 million, but the $300 million that we were going to put in to help with this renovation, we told you that our priority was to stay at Arrowhead Stadium. You voted no. We told you all options would be on the table if it was a no vote. All options are to renovate, to build new in Jackson County, to build new maybe at the Truman Sports Complex when the Royals move, or to go to Kansas. Now, I think we are many, many steps away from us getting into a position of saying, wow, there's a real threat that these teams are leaving. There's a real threat that we're talking about the Nashville Royals. I can't believe we're talking about the San Antonio Chiefs. We are a long, long way away from getting to that point. When people talked about the threat, I said then, and I'll continue to say, the threat from Mark Donovan was, hey, we have to look at all areas, all options. And the follow-up was, so you're saying you would leave Kansas City, Missouri? You would leave Kansas City, Missouri? And he said, yeah, we'd have to look at all options. Whoa, they're going to leave Kansas City? Yeah, the east side, the Missouri side. They're not going to be looking, at least right now, to leave the Kansas City metropolitan area. Kansas has an opportunity to pounce and to take advantage of what's going on to try to attract the Chiefs over to Kansas. And they have already had plans to try to attract a sports team. When they legalized sports gaming in Kansas, they created the fund that would go to attracting a professional sports team. That fund is not flush with millions and millions and millions and tens and 20 and hundreds of millions of dollars. But interesting hearing some of the inner workings of how the whole thing happens, that when you sign up for these promos and this promo code, 810WHB, and you get $200 when you sign up, $200 in free bets, that's an immediate loss by the sports book. That's not taxable. So if you're there and you're using that money, none of it is taxed that goes into the state to where they are able to tax that and then take their revenue, take their profit of the sports gaming. But once those promotions filter out, then it's all taxed. Then a portion of that then goes into the fund to help the attracting of a professional team, or helping fund bringing a professional sports team to the Kansas side, as the legislature is talking about, as multiple people with the Kansas side are looking to attract the Chiefs. And the Star Bonds makes it that much more attractive, because on the Missouri side, you're voting to extend a sales tax. You're voting to increase taxes to help pay for the billionaires, right? Well, I'm not going to build a billionaire a stadium. They shouldn't get that money for free. They're billionaires. Well, it's the city stadium. We get the whole thing with the lease, et cetera. They, profit all of that. You're actually giving money to the people that are building it, the construction workers, all of that stuff that goes in. So there's the, influx of money into the community, et cetera. But yes, it does increase the value of the franchise. Therefore, the valuation is bigger. Therefore, They could sell it for a lot more. Like what happened in Miami when, hey, if you build me a stadium, I won't sell the Marlins. They built him a brand new stadium. He then sold the Marlins for $2 billion more than what it was worth before the city built them a stadium. Okay, that's looking right in the voters and saying, do this for me, I promise. And then going, you fools, you knew I was a scorpion the whole time. Why'd you jump on my back to swim across the river, you jackass? You knew what I was.
Well, and scorpions can't swim, I don't think. So that's even a worse decision.
Well, it was the frog, right? The frog, and there was the scorpion.
The scorpion, the frog.
The frog, yeah. And
was it a snake? And
yeah,
don't sting me, and we're both going to die.
Yeah. And it's like, well, you knew what I was the whole time, right? And so the Star Bonds creates this opportunity to where the Chiefs can look at it and go, hold on, we don't have to put much into this. And if we put something into this, it would be then purchasing the bonds ourselves. I don't know how many they can purchase, but purchasing the bonds ourselves and then making a profit off of that as the money comes in. They would have even more of a vested interest to make sure that it works around the area with whatever entertainment district and hotels and bars or whatever it might be, restaurants around Arrowhead Stadium, around whatever the new stadium is. But it also doesn't have to go on the ballot. You don't have to worry about a vote. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to worry about taxes being raised. It's investors that are spending the money to buy the bonds and hoping they will then get reimbursed later on with a bigger profit, because it's all coming from the taxes from the economic impact generated by this new area. Sure. So it's food and alcohol taxes that go to then pay back the Star Bonds to the private residents, whoever, that then invested in said Star Bond. It's not the citizens then saying, well, now you got to give, 5 cents. Now you're giving 5 cents for every dollar to help fund the, well, then you guys pay for it. Well, I mean, people on the Missouri side have said all that, well, if you want it in Kansas, you pay for it. And I've said, I'll pay my share if that's the case. I think the best thing would be a bi-state, but that's way too intricate. It's way too convoluted, and you can't get everybody on the same page to have 4, 5, 6 different counties to get involved as to then, okay, well, then now you've got the pro tax and the, not the pro tax, but the jock tax. You got the jock tax that, these players that are competing in Missouri, in Jackson County, are then paying taxes while they are playing in Jackson County, to the state. There's the jock tax. Well, okay, well, you want them over there to pay your fair share. Okay, well, bi-state's going to be convoluted. How do you cut up that entire piece of pie? It is an offer that Missouri won't be able to match.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is what Kansas is doing right now in presenting this come June 18th. And the Chiefs, I think, being on board, at least to let's discuss this, let's see what we have, and building a dome to where you have at least getting on the Super Bowl at least once, college football playoff games, NCAA Final Fours that you can get to Kansas City.
Concerts year-round.
And Missouri is going through their own issues in the legislature that they can't even get their own house in order. And they're infighting. They can't get anything done because right now it's dysfunctional going on there. And Kansas is doing this, which is why they're calling it the scoop and score. When the vote was no, it was the 100% right now, tangible, keep the Chiefs and Royals in Jackson County. This is the vote to do that. I don't know what's going to happen down the road, but this is the one chance right now you know for a fact that the Chiefs and Royals will not leave this area of Jackson County. This is your chance. You voted no. Okay, then be prepared for what consequences or reactions will be. And Clark Hunt had his, we told you we wanted to renovate. You said no. So don't get pissed at me for leaving Arrowhead, because we get to build a brand new stadium, a dome in this area. We can separate our practice facilities from the actual stadium. We can make everything a little more convenient from that standpoint, and all of it makes more sense. Now we have a district around that we have a vested interest in making sure that it works to drive up revenue so that the star bonds can be paid back. And if the Chiefs, which I would expect them to then invest in said star bonds so then they could make money back as well in the end, it makes a whole lot more sense for them than trying to go through the Missouri, side of it and then getting taxes. And then what's Missouri, the state going to put in? What's the city? What's the county going to put in? And having that be put on a ballot soon and then to vote. The issue is if this is passed and the Chiefs are, at least working with them, then they have until July 1st of 2025 to agree to it. And if they don't agree to it, then it goes away. And they'd have to go through the whole process again. But for it to be there, it would be agreement, everything good, renderings, site, all of that by July 1st next year. That's how close we can be to knowing where the Chiefs are moving, and Missouri not even having a chance to match and come back and go, whoa, don't leave. And they might go, we tried not to.
We're really going to find out how much Clark Hunt values what his dad thought about Arrowhead. Because we've heard him so many times say, my dad, my father loved Arrowhead. How many times has he used that as almost a bargaining chip? I would almost say a bargaining chip to try and pull on the heartstrings.
Well, couldn't both be true, though?
Both can be true.
Your dad
can
loved
love it, but
who's to say that Lamar wouldn't be dealing with Kansas right now in the Star Buns to get a dome?
Oh, don't
Lamar,
disagree.
Yeah.
Don't disagree. But my point is, if you say that all the time and then all of a sudden you leave, it will look, no matter what the actual it will look a little bit like, okay, yeah, he loved this, but I'm doing my own thing.
It is his team now, or at least
my point is
you
can't keep using that. I don't want to hear that anymore. Then
I think you can. I think you can. I think there's an element of my dad loved Arrowhead Stadium. We renovated Arrowhead Stadium in the mid-2000 aughts.
Sure.
We look to renovate it yet again here in 2024.
But how hard did you try? How hard did they try to keep it
I'm
in
not
Jackson
disagreeing.
County?
I'm not
Again,
disagreeing.
if they were trying real hard, they would
Yeah.
show more than a bridge and some activation stuff.
Matt
Like-
Derrick had this point a long time ago. He even said it was a tinfoil theory that he thought the Chiefs were almost
Sandbagging to a
presenting
degree.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean
So-
that's a long road to sandbag and then go. We're going to lobby and spend millions of dollars in a hope that they say no because of the Chiefs side. When in reality, it felt like the no was because of the Royals side.
Sure.
Right.
So while the Chiefs weren't offering a whole lot, if it was just the Chiefs, I would have voted no. If it was just the Royals, I would vote yes. But I understood why people had their own issues and reasons and everything else. But I think you can say that, look, my family loved Arrowhead Stadium, and we moved to Kansas City in the Kansas City area. My dad loved Arrowhead, but more than that, he loved the Kansas City community.
Sure.
And we ain't leaving the Kansas City community. And also,
Well, that-
he
that-
moved
that
to
means the
Kansas City
most.
for a reason, too. Like, I bet he loved Dallas, where they're from, but he also moved the team to Kansas City because it made more sense from a business standpoint to move there. You can pass down a business to your son and be like, oh man, my dad loved this area when we built this business in this particular office. But we have grown, and now we get a chance to move these offices over there. And yeah, the memories of me growing up and being around this and everything, that'll be missed. But we have outgrown this area, and business sense-wise, it makes sense to move over there, just as it made sense for my dad to move to Kansas City back in the 60s.
Yep.
And I think if he were alive, he would have the same opinion.
So he also probably, here's the other thing that Clark deserves, I guess, to do as well is, follow in his dad's footsteps and build his own stadium and do something for himself that he can pass along to his children and say, this is something that meant a lot to me in keeping Kansas City or the Chiefs in Kansas City like my dad did. I have my own stadium as well, just like my father.
Yeah, and if it's hey, we got to do this in 20 years from now because we're signing this shorter term lease as opposed to it's a 40-year lease. We ain't going anywhere. And my dad, above all else, wanted to make sure that the Chiefs never left Kansas City. And this is now another 40 years of knowing that they will not.
Yep.
Well, and that's fair. And for me, the big thing is if they stay in Kansas City, I don't care that much where they go. If they're going to be building a new Arrowhead anyways, whether it's at the Truman Sports Complex or it's in Johnson County or up north
Dot,
or Wyandotte, do I really care that much? No, because if they're getting a new, again, if I had my druthers, I love Arrowhead.
Yeah, I get it.
Just how I love Kaufman, but a lot of that is also driven nostalgia. Right?
I agree.
That's a big part of things, and we're always, as human beings, going to be slightly resistant to change. It's just human nature. But just how Kaufman, they're getting a new stadium. We know that. Where it goes now, for me, less of an issue. With Arrowhead, if they're basically saying whether it's they're building new and not renovating Arrowhead, because that's different. If the options for me are renovating Arrowhead or getting new, then I have some more questions, which I understand building new, the price per analysis is probably going to be a better advantage. I just know a lot of people in Kansas City are going to probably be in my same boat. We love Arrowhead.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love Arrowhead.
That
We
doesn't
grew
make
up
money,
there.
though, so.
Does
Yeah.
not, and I get it.
Right.
Business standpoint, I'd be a horrible businessman. I get that.
I don't think you would. I think you'd be making the same decisions that they would.
Oh, I'd be so corrupt. I'd be so corrupt, man. I would.
That's probably
who's
right.
giving me the deal? Oh yeah, give me that. It's easy. It's easy for my
It
dumb
may not
ass
be
to.
corrupt, but it's just like here's the thing.
It's easy for me to say right here when I don't have money on the table.
The nostalgia that goes along with it. Okay, I look back and we'll always have the memories of Arrowhead Stadium. And when they move from Arrowhead, I will shed tears. The same thing with Kaufman. Growing up, standing out in right and left field for GA.
It's gonna hurt.
And then the gates opening up and you running to your seats. I mean,
gonna
we
hurt.
did that all the time. Being able to, when we lived right by the stadium after the 7th inning, walk over there and just go into the game because the gates opened in the 7th inning.
Yeah.
You have to pay a ticket. You have to pay money. Just walked in the 7th inning, gates open. They allowed you to move down from your seats to get closer to the game in the 7th inning and later, all of that. The way that it used to be, the way that it was, like the nostalgia of that, those things have changed. But I'll give you an example that probably so many other people have gone through. We had a family in our neighborhood that, when we moved into the neighborhood, they had 3 kids. Then they had another child. And then they had another child. They were a growing family. And they decided that, they needed to build new. And they moved. But I can tell you how emotional that day was of thinking we had 3 children born in this house. This is where these kids grew up. Our memories of everything is about our kids here in this house. But it doesn't make sense to live here anymore. Even if it may not be the same experience moving forward, it just doesn't make sense in this particular position. And nobody begrudges a family to make that decision if we've outgrown this or this is what we have to do. But with NFL teams, it's, well, he's greedy, he's this, he's that. You know, they're looking for more money. Yeah, extra revenue means, I would hope that it would mean that more cash can be put into the team and payroll and roster. Royals obviously is very specific, but with the Chiefs, with the salary cap, the cash part of it matters to the conversation we had on Monday about what the Bengals are going through with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson and what they're paying Joe Burrow.
The guaranteed money.
The guaranteed money that has to immediately go into an escrow. That is liquid. That is cash. That has to be a check written right then and there. So having that extra money, and the Chiefs typically have been anywhere from 24 to 32 in the bottom third of the NFL in cash spending year to year.
Mm-hmm. I get, and again, no pushback there, no qualms. The one thing I would say is the biggest pushback you're going to get from people, in the difference to the home aspect, that was a necessity. Almost a necessity. Again, great grand scheme of things. No, it's not.
Yeah.
We're very lucky and all that, living in America, all that stuff. I get that. I think a lot of people are going to say it's not a necessity. They've not outgrown the K.
Exactly.
They've not outgrown Arrowhead.
They haven't outgrown Arrowhead because Arrowhead wasn't a 35,000 seat stadium, and now they need a 70 or 80,000 seat stadium. You know, something like that. Where KU or something. Hey, we've outgrown. We're going to be outgrowing in our ticket sales this stadium, so we got to build new.
I get that, but the problem is you see the Panthers just brought out a new stadium. Do you think Clark Hunt wants to sit around and watch all these owners from lesser teams that aren't as good rake in cash and money and inflow from all these new stadiums and parks around their stadiums while he just sits back and, oh, it's nostalgic. Well, it doesn't make me any money, and I'm slowly becoming one of the, less and less rich owners in the league because I'm not making any money outside of the NFL season like all these other owners are.
The oil business is down.
Hotel. Yeah, that's it. You just stick with the one business you have and always make money from there.
Nobody ever diversifies.
Don't grow any other.
The
business.
guy that who has 4 jobs is saying that. Yeah.
How's your portfolio? I'd say strong to quite strong. See, you get it. You get it. Got to hit the market when it matters.
Yeah.
Breaking news out of Lawrence. Not great news for KU.
Oh no.
Head coach Bill Self releases this statement on Elmarko Jackson. Yesterday, while working out in front of the campers, Elmarko Jackson tore his patellar tendon. An MRI conducted by Kansas Team Health confirmed last night it will require surgery within the next several days, and a full recovery is anticipated. Elmarko will be able to assume non-contact basketball duties in the next several months, but the full rehab process will take approximately 12 months. We are all crushed by this. Elmarko has had a terrific spring. He's worked so hard and improved so much. This will be a challenge that he will meet head-on, and he will return as good as ever. So KU getting a number of people returning and some transfers, and what I thought would be a big season stepping forward for Elmarko in the traditional sense of a freshman going through and then, hey, now you're a sophomore. It's the old adage used to be, hey, what's the best thing about a freshman? They become sophomores. And now it's, what's the best thing about a freshman? They can lead you to a Final Four and win a national title and be a top 5 pick and NBA talent. Yeah, that's the best thing about a freshman now, where Elmarko 20, 30 years ago, his freshman year would have been, oh, man, you see flashes. But he's so young. He's just a freshman. You got to work through those. Hey, now he's a rising sophomore, and we'll see what he's going to look like this year. That sucks. That's a shame for KU. They still have a
basketball camp, too, of all things.
Yeah,
That's
working
horrible.
with kids and everything. Yeah, I mean, that's rough. I feel bad for Elmarko. And especially, a year ago. Well, a year ago around this time, maybe 10 months around this time. 10 months ago is when Bill Self said the best NBA prospect on our team is Elmarko Jackson, the freshman that people hadn't had a real chance to see.
And you saw glimpses last year. I still remember one of his dunks, his yams, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know he had that kind of bounce, that kind of athleticism.
Like he probably didn't think that June 4th he'd be, rupturing his patellar at a camp in Lawrence as opposed to going through the basketball process for the NBA and keeping his name in the NBA draft and doing the workouts there, because this time last year he was looked at as a potential one and done. It didn't work out that way for Elmarko. It's a tough system to play in the things that Bill Self requires of you. But after going through that freshman year, I thought this was going to be a huge step forward year for Elmarko, and that sucks because now, and it sucks for him because now not only is it, okay, I'm going to take a step forward my sophomore year and then go to the NBA.
Yeah.
Now it's I'm going to be rehabbing that entire year, then coming back and showing that not only am I recovered from that injury, but I've improved along the way, and now I'm NBA ready for the 2026 NBA draft, when his thoughts a year ago were that 2024, late June, I'm going to be hearing my name called.
And what's hard about that is, again, now it's no longer 2025, most likely. You're right, it's going to be 2026. And with that, you're dropping in the NBA draft. It's how it works. The NBA is a lot different. NFL's not quite there. Baseball's a little different too. But age is so important in the NBA. If you're a freshman, you're getting drafted well before the juniors and seniors.
Yeah.
It's shocking, especially in today's NBA. They want you when you're 18. When you're 21, sorry, you're a second rounder for the most part now. It's just the way the NBA works. And
next year's draft,
you feel bad.
Next year's draft, he would have been 21 years old because he just turned 20
22,
in April.
Yeah.
Now you're 22.
You're losing yourself a lot of money, and you feel bad.
Well, you're 22, but you're 22 playing a season your first year removed from the surgery that it took you 12 months to recover from. Are you then NBA ready? Then, if you've got to go through another season, now you're 23.
Yeah.
23 years old. And that sucks, because he probably thought as a 20-year-old that advantage of, I might not have the full season of success that some of these other guys have had. I mean, Johnny Furphy and but Furphy's only 11 years old. So that's good, isn't he? 11 or 12 years old, isn't he? Is he driving yet? Has Furphy got his driver's license?
Restricted license.
Okay, there you go.
His permit. It's his permit.
He can ride with another teammate around.
To work
that's right.
And just school and back.
To school. That's
school
right.
and back.
He's got the farm driver's license. Okay, he can be 13 and be able to drive the tractors and things like that. It's perfectly fine. But you're thinking I'm 20 years old, and that'll be an advantage. This just sucks.
Yeah,
it just sucks, man. I hate injuries. Like just turn the injuries off. Like, go to the settings and turn injuries off, and let's play ball. Let's go see what happens throughout a year. But that's the breaking news out of Lawrence. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, heading up until 2 o'clock. 913-912-4810. Tex says, the actual stadium part of Arrowhead is boring and lacks design. What makes it great is the tailgating and fans. Both will move to a new Arrowhead in Kansas. And they did. You know, Tarwater said yesterday with Seren that the one point of emphasis from the Chiefs has been no matter where they go, there will be ample parking and tailgating opportunities around that. It will not be a landlocked stadium around restaurants and hotels, and that's where you're parking. It will be a stadium with lots of space to park and tailgate. That is the one of the main things that they will make sure to bring from Arrowhead is that aspect. And I always, you know, I always go back and forth on this because I do think there has to be some element of natural design or physics or whatever you want to call it as to why 148 would happen at Arrowhead Stadium in an outdoor stadium, right? Like that way of designing.
Decibels, right?
Right, yes, the decibels to get that. Like there are stadiums that have 70, 75,000 fans in them. And so it's, okay, how much is it? Some of the construction that was that was there maybe naturally occurring organically at Arrowhead Stadium, and also the fans are amazing. Chiefs Kingdom is amazing. So it's hard for me to say, like, well, if you leave Arrowhead, you're not going to have the loudest stadium in the NFL. Well, you're still going to have Chiefs fans that are incredibly loud. I just don't know what the acoustics will be like, you know, in a new stadium as opposed to what it was in Arrowhead. It is interesting that you could look at a dome.
They got a dome.
That would feel like it is containing the sound and reverberating back down would be quieter, you know, obviously a relative term, would not be as loud as an outdoor open-air stadium. Like, I think Chiefs fans would still make it deafening in there because it's just simply what we do. There are wine and cheese crowds in the NFL and in Major League Baseball for every team. And there are some teams that have more wine and cheese. There are teams that have their...
Hey, what's wrong with some wine and cheese? I like both. Can we not be both?
Nothing.
I'm loud and like wine
and
fine. Cheese.
It's fine. They typically go right along with Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. Wine and cheese for Phillip and wine and cheese for the fans.
I'm over a wine and win guy.
But there are cultural, historical, fabrics of different fan bases that with the Chiefs, it's you go to the game and you are loud as hell. And you're screaming and you're yelling and you're tailgating and you're enjoying yourself. And it may or may not be an environment sometimes for younger kids, depending on what's going on. But it's sort of what we've come to know. Where there are some stadiums that have recliners on the 50-yard line, okay? That have a section of where you can just sort of lounge and hang out and just leisurely watch a game relaxing while having your wine cooler and eating your cheese squares. Okay, there are stadiums that have that. I don't think the Chiefs will go from Arrowhead to a dome and lose the ingrained fabric, cultural aspect of the kingdom from Arrowhead to a dome and then be, oh, we're in a dome? Well, this is nice. Cushy.
They got a dome.
Cushy chair. I guess I don't need to yell anymore. This is good play. Did you see that play? It's a great play. They scored a touchdown.
You're correct, but there is something about an Arrowhead. They talked about the designing of it for the acoustics to elevate the acoustics.
21st sack for FAU this year. That's a great
Only
play.
21 seems low.
It's a great play by FAU. I love the hometown kid that does that. One more over here.
No,
yes, please, thank you.
Arrowhead's going to be loud and crazy like always. But my point is, Arrowhead was. There was talks of how it's built and designed for the acoustics, and
Seattle did all the studies as to how.
Same, I was going to bring up Seattle. They're almost the same structure. Have you guys? Been, I'm sure both of you have been on the field at Arrowhead, and you can notice that it
lots of times. Are you kidding me, Dylan?
Straight
very
in the
rarely.
air. It feels like when you're looking at it.
Yeah, very, very. I think the last time I was on the field at Arrowhead was when there was AstroTurf there. It
I-
might
I-
have been the last time I was on. There was a football camp, Chiefs football camp that I went to, and the last day of the camp,
awesome.
you got to play a game at Arrowhead.
That's sweet.
And Christian Okoye was out there.
Did he truck you?
Well, I didn't play against him.
kinda cool.
Jason was fullback. He was lead blocker.
How did you break all of your bones in your body? I was not Steve Atwater. Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield, and I was the bug this time. But no, I think that might be the last time I was on the field at Arrowhead, and just in that. But I mean, that was a. But you know, what that view is.
Last time I was against the Bills a couple years ago at post game. Went down there and I Tony G'd it. I went and I'm glad I didn't get fined because I'm not a player.
Was that the regular season one with Von Miller with the pressure and then the interception at the end?
Yeah.
So you're to blame. Okay, I was
Yeah,
wondering
it's
whose
probably
fault
my
it was
fault,
if they lost.
But I went down there.
Now we know.
Just gonna say, in cowboy boots, I still got over. I still was able to hit the goalpost. So just throwing that out there that I got ups. Just saying.
Did you dunk over the
We didn't have
goalpost? You
anything-
just jumped and touched it?
Just touched. I didn't have anything to throw over. I didn't have a
So
football.
jumping and touching it is not the same as
Still
dunking
10
a
feet,
football.
dog.
That's fine, but if you didn't have, I mean,
I
jump
tried
and,
Tony Gina. It was like
jump and touch the rim is not dunking though.
Oh no, agreed. I can't.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't give me a hard time, Jason.
You were the one bragging about your cowboy boot jump and touching
you know what?
the crossbar.
I was, Jason, because I was proud of that. I was proud of my athletic feats for once in my life, Jason. Thank
now
you.
me and Jason know that we could dunk. On
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
goalpost
I mean,
at Arrowhead.
if you can do it, then give me a football.
But yes,
I'll
Arrowhead.
take
is-
my 15-yard
is-
penalty for that. You know,
They should bring that back. I love when.
I can't though because then it gets all crooked and everything.
Well,
when
don't
you-
hit it hard. Just like
Okay, yeah, you just scored a
don't
touchdown in the
don't-
NFL.
Don't Vince Carter
And hang on
cookie
it?
jar it. Like I'm just saying.
You actually should do that. I wish somebody would. Take your 15 yards. If you're going to get 15 yards, damn it, earn it. Jump, dunk it, and hold on.
Do the shack.
While
Bring
just
the whole
saying-
thing down. Bring the whole goalpost down.
Jump,
Yes.
lift your legs up in the shack when he had the shack shoes
Yeah,
and that
the
shack
shacknosis. The
shack
shacknosis.
emblem with
Shove
the.
a official like Jared Dudley, like when he shoved Jared Dudley to the ground.
That's right, yeah. And then somebody picks up a football and throws it at you. You know, the whole thing gets crazy.
Might get more than 15. You might get more than 15 yards.
I mean, how can you give more than 15? It's one act.
Right.
You know, you can't give them double. It's
I
not a
meant
double
fine
technical.
or
Oh, you'll
like
get fined.
suspensioned.
You'll get fined for it, but that can only be one 15-yard penalty. Now, it would be probably a longer delay to go and fix that the goalposts and the uprights. But that's ultimately why they stopped, because it's like, okay, well, now the goalposts are tilted, so we got to come out here and move them back and make sure they're
Make
level.
them sturdier. Make them sturdier.
That's right.
Can we talk about they need to make goalposts taller? By the way, I'm so sick of
The crossbar needs to be taller?
Not the
or
crossbar, the poles.
Okay.
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 I'm just a thought here. They should be taller.
Remember back in the day when college had like half the height of the NFL? It was like, plus it was much wider.
Yeah.
So it was much wider and it looked like a much stubbier field goal post is what it was.
Sturdy. It was sturdy.
It was stubbier is what it was. You had the tall and lean NFL goal post size, and then you had the stubbier, short and stocky.
It's a freshman 15. It's
That's
in
right.
college.
As Patrick Mahomes would say, that field goal is dense. That boy's big. That boy's dense. And then it's like, why don't you just have the post go higher, right?
Well, I'm
and
saying
then
that
they
they should
obviously
make them
shortened the crossbar, so it's now the official. It's same size as the NFL goalpost, but yeah, you can move those
But they have
taller.
cameras.
Right.
now.
Yeah, but
the question also
a
would be
few
like,
times last year where you're like, did that go over or was that out? There was a couple times last year where you're like, is that good? Even in college too. I know Mevis just because we watch.
so
all
do you
the
want them
games.
just like to go up to the ceiling, so therefore you can take out the rule of the ball has to be completely
Yeah,
on one side of the goalpost to be no
all
good.
the way up,
If
all
any,
the way as
if-
high as
if any part
engineering allows.
If any part passes the goalpost and touches what would be above the goalpost, it's good.
Yeah, because it's convoluted. Just make them as tall as engineering allows. It's 2024. There's got to be a company that can
Well,
make
with the
something
outdoor stadium, though, if you have them too tall and then the wind,
That's
like
what I'm saying, yeah.
wind and now you need to be sturdier crossbar.
That's
I see
what
what
I'm
you're saying.
Yeah, some
right,
nice
right.
rebar. You got to get the rebar and then concrete.
That's pretty. Maybe you can, if you're in a dome. They got a dome. If you're in a dome, maybe you can
Connect it
you
to the
can
top of the
connect it to the
ceiling.
top so it
Yeah.
doesn't move at all.
I'm just saying,
you know,
someone has to ask the tough questions, and I'm,
it's about time.
I'm
Thank
here.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for getting to the
Engineers
bottom
have been slacking all this time.
this whole time.
They've been slacking off.
I mean, this entire time they haven't figured out how to make a sturdier goalpost for field goals in the NFL.
Until now.
We are putting soft caps on their helmets now. We're taking away leg pads where you can just wear
That's what I was going to say. We got to put it above the curing concussion issues in NFL as the goalpost height.
Tell the truth about the goalpost.
Yeah.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Well, the goalposts were built this. Tell the truth. They were not built that way. You got pants that only go down to the knees now, and nobody's wearing. Xavier Worthy doesn't even know what a knee pad is. Like, what's a knee pad? What for?
Baseball
I don't play
players
volleyball.
don't rock wool anymore. I'm telling you.
What's it coming? We don't kick the ball into the end zone now. Apparently,
very few drop kicks. Very few drop kicks.
We can't hit above the shoulders. We can't touch the quarterback, and yet all of these changes we have made to the NFL, we haven't figured out how to make the goalposts sturdier. I get your point.
It's big engineering. Big engineering does not want you to know this.
I think it's your platform to run on. It's 2024. Run on that.
If I were president, I don't.
Sturdier field goal
posts. Sturdier field goal posts. We're gonna make I-70 a lot wider because I'm tired of being behind semis. Thank you, semi truck drivers, for all you do. I know a lot of them. Thank you for that. But we need more lanes. It's not your fault. We just need more lanes. Make that thing. Make I-70 a lot thicker. Just how we need field goal post to be taller. And
do you use the same material to strengthen the goalposts as you do to widen I-70? Like, is that the same material?
And if you're a Chiefs fan, you don't have to pay taxes. That's all I'm saying.
You don't have to pay taxes
if
ever?
you're a Chiefs fan. For me, because I don't want.
If you're a part of Chiefs Kingdom, you don't have to pay taxes?
That's what I would run on. I would run on that.
You got my vote.
Yeah, see?
Now, I don't know that the rest of the country would vote for that.
Bengals fans actually have to take up the slack. They got to double down.
The Electoral College you might lose in. You're going to get a good portion of the Kansas City area.
Oh, yeah, baby.
You're going to get a great portion
I'll go hard for that.
of the kingdom.
Those, 4 electoral votes will do you well.
Well, and then Cincy has to double down, and then we get the Cleveland fans, because Cleveland fans are, you know what, we're in. Cincy just takes up the slack. They're paying more taxes for Kansas City not doing it.
But why would Cleveland be okay with Kansas City Chiefs fans not having to pay taxes?
I don't know,
why would they,
Jason.
Why would
I
that
just
be the
picked up my
policy
tax
that they're
returns today, and I'm upset. I'm heated.
Let's get to the bottom of this. This
hate
topic.
Taxes, Jason.
Let's get to the bottom of the platform that you're running on. What are your views on abortion? What I'm saying is, if you're part of Chiefs Kingdom, you don't pay taxes.
And we need the
4 more
goalpost
years.
taller.
Is your
4
running
more
mate,
years.
Is your running mate Chiefsaholic or something? I mean, what's the?
It's actually Xavier.
What's your
If there's
campaign?
one thing we
Xavier.
know about Xavier, it's that as a prisoner, he's not paying many taxes anymore.
Visit us at Hollywood Casino Kansas Speedway this spring for all the playoff hoops, hockey action, and baseball. We've got the biggest screens, the best food and drink, plus we're giving away pin cash bonuses and prizes to pin play reward.
All right, hanging out here on this Wednesday edition of The Zone. Tomorrow night, we will be hanging out at Legends Field for the Chiefs charity softball game with Trey Smith, Justin Reed, the offense versus defense, and we'll be out there. I'll be doing a show from 6 to 7 during the Home Run Derby, talking to various Chiefs players that will hopefully stop by, try to dodge errant softballs as they're warming up on the side. I don't know how – it's not easily translatable from throwing a football to a baseball / softball.
Not at all.
Ask C.J. Stroud. It's not as easy to do that. So we'll be broadcasting it tomorrow. Stephen St. John will be emceeing the whole thing with the Home Run Derby, so that'll be a lot of fun as well. So we'll be out there tomorrow.
Watch out for Justin Reed. Last time I was there, he almost ran into me trying to get a foul ball.
Were you in the game?
No, we were calling the game, me and Briscoe, and we were close we're out, and Dog is.
Were you
quick.
in the first base coach's box?
Not even that close. We're in between first base and the dugout. I mean, there was a good room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a little
you would have been
scared.
hit by the errant throw last night from Bobby.
Yes, guaranteed.
If Benny didn't dig it.
Actually, Karloftis was sitting down with us, and he almost got hit by a ball, an errant throw, actually, as you're talking about. And I almost would have felt bad for the ball because Karloftis is a strong dude. He ain't getting hurt by that.
He would have eaten it. I mean, let's
well,
be honest. Karloftis would have been like this. I'm hungry.
I want to give it a shout out to John on the X. Says they should have lasers on the side of field goal post shooting up. So if the ball crosses the laser, it would signal good kick. John, I like it.
Lasers.
I'm just
4K
saying.
cameras work too.
No, because then it's up to interpretation of where the ball actually crossed. If you have lasers or the engineer, we're done talking about this because no one cares besides me.
I love the conversation. I think we need to. This is the one thing in the NFL that all of the things that we've been fighting for and talking about that need to be fixed in the NFL. It is about damn time that the goalposts get a little bit higher.
The PA wasting their time with this off-season stuff.
Right.
Who cares?
Off-season OTAs. How about spend the off-season figuring out how to make the field goal post better?
Just saying.
Right? No,
Just
I'm just saying that I totally agree. I think it's about time we hit on the major issues.
Maybe go back to the soccer style because those are sturdy because they got the soccer posts that keep it as a square. But you still have the field goal on top, kind of the high schoolish look.
Yeah, that soccer hitting a crossbar on the goal, you're not hearing a thing.
Yeah, but
you're
I like
that
sound,
man.
though. I do like
the
that
thud,
sound.
The double doink.
Well, I don't like a sound
doink.
if it's our kicker, but it's typically not a Chiefs kicker.
It's not typically.
It's typically
well,
don't.
Last year it wasn't that.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago when there was a holding problem, and there was a holding problem last year with the offense line, but a holding problem in the football with the operation 2 years ago with Tommy Townsend and Harrison Butker and Winchester.
Should we be concerned?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's a concern.
That?
Yes, absolutely.
It's somewhat going under the radar. Should we be concerned
Yes.
about – okay, so you're a little nervous about the holding operation heading into – even though there's an entire off season and all that stuff to get right, you're a little nervous about that.
So here's why. That was year 2 of Tommy Townsend that people were having issues with, right? Because 2020 was year 1 of Tommy Townsend. 2021 was year 2.
Yeah,
so it was year 3.
Yeah.
So it was 2022 was when the issues happened with the kicking. Because 2023 last year is when it was awesome.
Yeah, 2021 was rookie year because
but also
Super Bowl
injury.
punt. As a rookie, everyone was kind of, oh man, this is a tough spot.
Yeah, well, that was the 2020 season though.
But also
you're right.
That was rookie because that was against Tampa.
Happened in 2020.
So it was year 3 for Tommy that we looked at and said, boy, this is an issue with him holding. And there was an injury to Harrison Butker's ankle.
Correct.
This is year 1 for whoever they choose. So
but Butker's not injured. So that should also...
Well, not right now.
Hell. Don't! Why?
What?
Don't
saying.
say that.
You heard
there's
his
a
ankle
concern.
Week 1 2 years ago.
Don't bring this up.
Just saying there's got to be a concern. You can't just go into the season and go, hey, it's all good because Harrison Butker is one of the best in the NFL. He absolutely is. But part of being one of the best in the NFL that we saw 2 years ago was that there is a trust factor between the holder and the kicker. That the ball is going to be placed in the right spot. It's going to be tilted in the right angle, and the laces are going to be facing the correct way. And when Dave Tobe's guys and Harrison Butker is going to have a say in who is the punter, it's obvious that they look at it as a pretty big deal as to who's going to be holding.
delivering all natural food to Midwestern families since 1958. Enjoy healthier food, more free time, free delivery, and better value. Go to GuaranteedFoods.com.
All right, hanging out on this Wednesday edition of The Zone. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, here with us until 2 o'clock. Mick, what's up? How are you?
Hey.
Hey. Hey. Wish there was more of a hey over the last week or so for the
There have not been many of
the
those.
Rolls.
What are they in like a 2-9 stretch or something like that?
They are 3-7. Maybe it's 2-9. If
I'll just look
maybe
it
it's
up. I'll
two
just
out
look
of
it up and
nine, and now
actually
it's
get this right instead of just the guessing.
like
no,
that.
just go ahead and look it up and get it right then, Sterling. If you want to be factually correct, bro. We
Both
just
are bad, right?
Oh,
Both
yeah.
are
I'm looking
bad,
at the
and
bottom.
entering the toughest stretch of their
Oh
season.
man, it's
So every team is in first place till like basically July. It
Yes.
seems like
2-7 in their last 9.
2-7 in the
Okay,
last
so
9. I feel like
not
that's
2
something
and-
Mick exactly said. 2-7.
no. I said 2-9.
So 2-7 in the last 9. So you're right.
Yes.
You were there. You were
Two
there.
out of
you were all around
9
it.
they've won.
Dude, you were all around it, man. You put 3 different shots right next to
That
the
was
cup.
sick, bro. That was sick.
Really was.
Yeah.
Really was. We missed you on Monday. We were out at Oakwood at the Trent Green Ronald McDonald House Charities Trent Green Classic. You were playing in a golf tournament. Not that one. You were too good for that one. But at least you were playing in a charity golf tournament, not
The
just out by
ALS,
yourself.
Joe McGuff, 41st annual golf tournament. I've covered that for basically the entirety
When did you
of
get
my
When did you get the
career
invite
here.
from covering it to then now
I
playing it
played
as
in
a celebrity?
before, but I hadn't played as a quote unquote celebrity
wow, you're fancy.
at all. I don't think, and so
Can you
Get your
imagine somebody
autograph?
gets?
the wife of one of our executive producers was putting it on, and so that's how I got the invite.
Oh, who was your celebrity? Dude, we got to play with George Brett.
Oh,
Who'd
my
you play
God.
with? Mick Schaefer.
Mick Schaefer.
Oh,
Wait, you said the wife?
The wife of one of our executive producers was helped
At KSHB.
put on the.
I thought you meant like someone's wife reached out to you, and I was like, wow, that's bold to just say
They
that.
said the
I know a
wife.
lot. I know a lot of wives.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
a lot
that-
of
that
guys'
was my
wives.
point.
Yeah.
Plenty of wives reach
I
out
get your
to
wife by 3:00.
Yeah,
with wife.
with
it's easy.
paint?
Yeah.
with nail polish.
Yeah, exactly. It was a
Easy.
great time. And immediately, I apologized to the 4 guys I was playing with, but they were very cool about it, and we played well. And so, and normally I can be like, you know what, I'm not a celebrity, but I can hold my own in the golf game. I've got Tom Watson and George Brett and Joe
Yeah,
Carter out
right.
there who are sticks.
Yeah, I think Joe Carter ended up winning it on Monday, and actually after he sunk the last putt, somebody goes, "Touch them all, Joe."
They were right behind us the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
It's
so you
funny.
could it was like another cheer back there, son of a gun! They are killing it.
Our last hole at Lionsgate, we had just a little 55-yard chip shot.
And what hole at Lionsgate?
It would have been 15. It's the short you can't hit driver there.
Yeah,
you got to
it's
hit
a-
like 3-wood or whatever.
Yeah,
to lay
it's-
up.
I almost walked into egg on my face trying to be a smartass. You said your last what hole? 18. Dumb it.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
no, we didn't
No,
start
you're
at
right.
one.
That's check.
I think we started at
Never mind.
16.
I'm gonna back
And
off before
so
I say that.
we had just shot the flag, and somebody said 55 yards. And Joe drives by. He's like, "It's about a 57-yard shot there." I'm like, "Yeah, he is exactly right." He's exactly right.
With the creek, right? You have the little
creek in front of you,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
great hole.
popped up,
It's a great hole.
Guys, that guy's walking around, and he would never have to pay for a round of golf or a beer in Toronto.
Yeah.
For the rest of his life, and he's there. It's like, oh man, look at all these different celebrities, and he's winning it, playing amazing golf. And he was an awesome baseball player, and his brother might be one of the best softball players in America.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, his brother is
Really?
like an amazing softball player.
Well, I mean-
like one of the legit high level leagues of like the dudes that travel around and play like the highly competitive. The guys that go, hey, use our one here. You get one home run in the game, and it's like, all right, go ahead and use ours. All right, so Carter, go ahead and use ours. There's our home run used. Yeah, apparently he's like one of the just an amazing softball player.
And I mean, Joe is. How many people have walked off a World Series with a homer? With Bobby Thompson, right?
Yeah.
And him. Is that about it?
That's
I mean, Renteria had a walk-off base hit, I remember, for the
What about
Marlins.
Diamondbacks, Luis Gonzalez, right?
Yeah, that.
But was that to win
Was
it?
that
Was
a
that just
home-
an
that was
game?
that was to win Game 7.
Yeah, that was a bloop.
That was
so,
absolutely
like,
to win. Mazeroski
Bill Mazeroski,
Bill Mazeroski,
the
yeah,
Pirates,
Pirates.
1960.
with the walk-off home run and Carter. So I mean, it's
there might be only one in color, right?
That's right, yes.
Where you easily find it on YouTube.
Yeah, wild thing, throwing it in there, and Joe Carter just turning on it and disappearing over the wall in left field.
It was funny. I went down to the range beforehand, and I'm not paying attention, and I look to my right, and it's Joe Carter. And to his right is Tom Watson warming up.
That's pretty good.
I've never been nervous on the range before.
Dude, it's a great trio of celebs. Those you three right there.
I was going to say, who was
other.
next to Tom Watson? who was next to him? That's a little bit like when we go to Tahoe. Like, you get there and you're like walking, or like, oh, wow, look at these three. You're just like, oh, this is somehow it's normalized.
And then after a while, you're like, okay, this is an A-lister, but whatever. I'm just
it's
used
like,
to it.
Oh, hey, George, anybody sitting here? George?
It's like my parents. They took a cruise to Alaska, and they saw their first bald eagle, and they were amazed. And about half an hour,
they haven't gone to like the zoo or something.
Not in the wild. Their first bald eagle in the wild.
There's one right around the corner at the Kansas City Zoo.
They got a bald eagle there.
Yeah, I bet they do.
Yeah.
I mean, probably.
I don't know.
I would guess.
But 30 minutes later, they were just so tired of bald eagles. They're like pigeons up here.
Yes. I mean, they're stealing our food.
Yes.
They are taunting us the whole time. They're just circling around as if like they think we're going to die. I'm not sure if we are.
Jason, that's vultures.
Oh yeah, because bald eagles don't want food at all. So they wouldn't. They wouldn't
after people, Jason. I think that's a vulture thing. I could be wrong.
I mean, they would tear up a person if it's dead there.
I think just because they're the
More
American
moose.
mascot doesn't mean that they're nice.
Now they're American mascots, so they eat apple pie.
Yes, that's
and
right.
hot dogs.
They love baseball.
If you have a hot dog, and apple pie, your picnic is screwed.
Thank God the bald eagle is our nation's mascot, because it was supposed to be the turkey. Benjamin Franklin wanted the turkey.
Oh man,
the wild turkey.
They only
and we would have been eating bald eagle at Thanksgiving.
Well,
that's a good point. Yeah, or the mullet eagle.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
They do go for only freedom fries, not French fries.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I remember that with the freedom fries. We ain't saying nothing that's French. It's freedom fries around these parts. All right. If you don't like
freedom kiss.
If you don't like freedom fries, go and get.
You
ever have French kiss before? No, a freedom kiss.
Freedom kiss.
Okay, that actually sounds pretty cool though.
A freedom kiss.
A freedom kiss sounds pretty badass.
Isn't that the kiss when you get released from prison? Your first kiss. Freedom kiss. Mwah.
I just figured when you're like 6 bush lights deep, and that's the freedom kiss.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
But it's a great time out there.
Yeah,
we were 17 under. The 30-year-old golf bros I played with could play.
Really?
A little bit. So yeah.
Who was the best golfer? You or one of the guys in the group?
I was of the 5 of us. I was clearly 4th. Clearly.
Oh, not 5th though.
Well, the 5th guy got really drunk really quick, and
Good for
so
him.
maybe if he's sober, he's better than me.
Good
but
for
yeah,
him. And he's listening right now to figure out what
I
happened.
bet so. Yeah.
Trying
How
to
many
remember what
houses
happened.
were hit at Lionsgate? How many?
By us, I don't think any. No.
Don't think good.
No.
Good.
No,
He doesn't think. He doesn't know for a fact.
Yeah, he
They're
doesn't
too nice
think.
out there to hit. Right?
Yeah, I know, you get nervous.
When it's
You're-
down,
you're-
I'm gonna lay up with a 5-iron here because I'm worried about
The
these.
road is a better aim point than the house. You're like,
Yeah.
that's fine. If you had a car,
Yeah.
it's cheaper than the
Right.
house. Yeah.
You're gonna want to avoid the sand on the left side and the brick on the right side with that house. Those are the two
And
places
you're
you want to
gonna
hit right
want
down
to
the middle.
avoid the Robinsons on the right side. Yes.
That's right. And over there, you do have water, but it is the pool in that particular house. So you do want to avoid that because that metal gate you're not getting in to get your ball back. We are going to go ahead and that is a 2-stroke penalty if you hit it.
Lionsgate is great in that it's really nice and not that hard compared to some of the other great courses in Bragger.
I think 16, 17, 18 are really tough finishing stretch though.
And that's what he started with.
We started with those.
Yeah, you finished with those. And are those the holes?
We started with those.
No, I know, but I'm saying, were those the holes that you struck? Because you were 17 under. So that'd be
birdie. We had
Yeah, those
we had-
are
on the long par 3, that's like 220, 17.
Daddy.
Yeah, birdie.
Daddy
You did that.
Put one pin high and
Wow.
Did you sink it yourself?
No,
Oh,
another
they
guy
gotta-
made like a 20-footer.
Oh, I was going to say they got to let you go if that's your ball they're using on
It
the
wasn't
green.
playing 220. It was playing like 190.
I know, but if that's your ball that they're using on the green, you got to go first, so that you could sink it for an actual birdie.
We're more about the team, right? And so
No,
you
you gotta-
have like an
now, if you're-
order, whether you're out the tee, whether
Nope.
you're approaching, whether you're putting.
Nope.
Well, I could have told him.
If it's a par
I'm not
three,
going to make that 20-footer.
If it's a par 3 and I put that ball 3-4 feet from the cup, you ain't putting it in.
I did putt first though.
What?
I let off everything because I'm
Okay, so you
usually
did
in a
putt first.
hurry, and
So
I
you-
have no ego.
So you did putt first your own
I
ball.
did, yeah,
okay,
but not
great. That's all I
because
was
that
saying.
was my ball.
No, but I was saying
what
that's
tees
good.
do you guys play from?
The
Blue white
tips,
combo
baby.
or
No, it's
Tips.
just wherever the signs were. I think they're the blues.
yeah.
So yeah,
Just follow the
it was not.
signs.
It was not the tips. The tips.
No, that's
in a
a-
tournament. They don't do the tips, and they give you friendly pin placements. They want to facilitate things.
Yeah,
go
you,
quickly.
You ain't playing tips there. That's the old Corn Ferry style. Those things.
Oh,
That's
the
long.
Corn Ferry guys used to tear that course up.
It's crazy.
It'd be
it's
30
crazy.
under there.
How about
It's
Harry? By the
crazy.
way, Corn Ferry. How about Harry Higgs getting the
Doug
U.S.
just
Open?
doubling down.
Yes, winning 2 tournaments and getting the automatic invite to the U.S. Open.
awesome.
That is so cool, man. And he had been struggling a little bit,
And he
obviously-
kind of pulled out some more magic for that
Yeah.
second tournament to win.
Yep, and now he's absolutely going to get his tour card back
Good.
by winning 2 tournaments on the Corn Ferry Tour. He's going to finish high enough to do that.
Go
and
Mustangs.
is it the 7-2? So the 2 wins in 7 tournaments at
I don't
Corn
know
Ferry
how
get
that
you.
works.
There's something
Is it top 20 or top 30 now at the end of the year?
I thought it was top
30
25.
top
right between them.
around there to get your tour card. But I think there's something on the Corn Ferry Tour where it's like 7-2. So like 2 wins in 7 tournaments, you get the U.S. Open invite or
Should.
something like that. And him winning,
2 and 2.
2-2. That seemed that's the automatic one, right? That's the easy. That's the intentional walk. That's the
Crazy,
4.
and just how crazy close is professional golf? And like, it took a bad lie for him on the 18th hole, right here at Blue Hills, and him to kind of chunk it, right, to get no spin on it, and for it to roll in the exact perfect right direction, right at the cup. I think it rolled for 50 feet and go in to force a playoff, to have the chance to win it, and he goes and wins another one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Royals lose last night
I
in
heard.
incredibly disappointing fashion.
Yes,
It
it's
was
funny.
A
Like,
gut punch is what
they
it was.
don't. There have been very few okay, we accept that loss. Losses this year. They have
Right.
almost all been gut punches.
Yeah.
It's like watching Manchester by the Sea for a lot of these Royals
Yeah,
losses.
but I don't think Manchester by the Sea had 2 Bobby Witt home runs in there. That was just.
You're right. This was sadder. This was sadder.
That was
than
2.
That, movie.
That was 2
You're right.
hours of gut punches.
This was sadder than
yeah.
the Iron Claw.
Yeah, that's Manchester by the Sea is one of the best movies that I refuse to ever watch again.
Same.
One of the most amazing movies that I
Exactly
will
the same.
never even think about.
I'm sure
ever
it was
watching
well
it.
What's it
acted.
about? I've never seen it.
Kids dying.
Yeah, it's
basically
pretty
the
good.
worst.
Just dealing with that.
It's
Parents dealing with their kids dying.
and the dad being
And it's
responsible
his
for it.
fault.
And the
Yeah.
dad being responsible for it.
Why
yeah.
would you watch that?
Casey Affleck.
Because
That's why,
it's
because he's an
because
American treasure.
It's an amazing movie.
Critically acclaimed.
The
Oh,
movie.
yeah. It won all these awards, and then everybody went and watched it. Like, God, why didn't anybody tell
For
me
a
about
week,
this?
it was like I just was
Dude, for a
kinda-
week
Yeah.
I was out of it.
And I don't have kids like you guys.
But since then, I can appreciate the story and the acting and how amazing it was.
Yeah.
And Casey Affleck and what he was going.
It might be better now that we know what
The
happened
wife.
watching it again.
I don't think I will though.
I would have loved
The
if
wife
you
Well,
had
does
just-
Michelle,
great job
Williams,
acting.
Michelle Williams,
Michelle
right?
Williams.
Oh, she's one of the best actors.
If
on
Mick
the
would have
planet.
told me it's just like it's a nice romp, it's a rom-com,
It's a rom-com.
and I
Like
just go
Danny
and
said
watch
about
it.
Star Wars.
yeah.
Like Danny said about Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind was a great movie. Star Wars was a light little romp. It was a fun little romp. I think Michelle Williams is in the movie for like a total of 11 minutes.
Is that
and
it?
she's brilliant in the whole thing. Yeah, I would say, yes, go in knowing that how you'll feel coming out of it, but
Have you seen the Iron Claw?
not yet.
That is in that league.
Is it really? Oh, okay.
No, Iron Claw's in Toy Story. The Claw.
No, that's actually in
That's
Liar
actually
Liar.
in Liar Liar. You're scared of the claw.
The claw, here it comes.
Oh,
The
you're
claw.
talking about Toy Story with the
Yeah.
but
also you're right, too.
forever and daddy, you have saved our lives.
Yes,
Yeah.
that claw.
Yeah, that claw. I see what you're talking about there, but no, it was if you go in knowing what that movie is going to be about, the story and the acting is unfreaking real. Like it is brilliant.
Similarly, last night going in, if we would have known what that was about,
Yeah.
we would have appreciated the
Yes.
Bobby
Yes.
homers more.
Right.
Yeah.
100% would appreciate all of those things. The Hunter Renfroe homer, like, hey, you know what? He's doing some good things
And
since
it's like
May
it
12.
was the Royals' two best players just having these anomalies type games of and look, Bobby had a great game and one bad throw.
The Royals players.
One bad decision.
The Royals
Seth
pitcher,
Lugo, though, give up some bombs.
The pitcher and player of the month for
yes,
May.
Yes. Oh, they read their press clippings. Do you think there actually had press clippings in there?
Does anybody actually read their press clippings anymore?
Do you think there is an actual bulletin board they put stuff up
They
on?
clip the press clippings and then they glue it to the stick
put
on
it
the
in a
board.
scrapbook, and they put mom puts in a scrapbook.
When the Bengals said Burrowhead, and then the Chiefs actually
did.
clipped it out,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right,
they
yeah.
put it on the bulletin.
They
They got
did.
the pins,
They
and
did.
they had to
Yeah.
find pins, of course, to hang
did.
it. And
It's just thumbtacks, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
just
thumbtacks.
there's
Same
some
with pins,
thumbtacks.
yeah.
You know, you can get them at, like Staples or Office Depot or something. I still probably have thumbtacks, right? Probably somewhere.
Well, I guess if you go to Office Depot to
They
find
probably
them.
make thumbtacks somewhere.
Yeah, that's bad. Just because like you had you win that game, you hold on to that 5-0 lead. You have margin for error these next two, right?
Yes.
And now you don't to win the series, and now you're worried about can they get a game, right?
Win one of the next
with,
two, man.
With in Cleveland. So yeah, that was an opportunity miss. I still like if he steps on second first, if he just throws the first, if they get out of the inning. I still don't believe they win that game. I think they were done scoring runs, and the way the bullpen has gone, and the way Cleveland was swinging the bat, they were going to get another run or two.
It's the best bullpen in Cleveland and one of the worst in the Royals.
Yes.
So you
won that part, right? You won
Yeah.
for a while. I mean, because Lugo was cruising for the first
three
time
innings.
through the lineup.
First 3 innings, no hits, no
Cruising
run. I mean,
through it.
just a perfect game through 3. And I shouldn't have looked at my son and said, "Hey, Lugo's got a perfect game going." I didn't do that.
That's what you did.
I didn't do
You
that.
did that.
Actually did not
Jason?
do that. I did not do that. I promise you. I was just thinking, like, hey, man, this is going really well
But
right
even
now.
if you did, do we know what the other couple 100,000 people watching were saying at that time? Maybe one of them.
It only takes
screwed
one,
up.
though. It only takes
right,
one.
yes.
And if there were more than one, then you're going to give up 5 runs in the next 2 innings.
That's what
I mean,
happened.
people know that.
What's interesting, too, is the Royals have actually been very good. As great as the Guardians' bullpen has been, maybe the best in baseball, they've been very good against elite closers. It's kind of a fascinating phenomenon.
They haven't made them work. You're right.
Like they've at
about
least
that.
made them work. Like Duran, even Clase in this game, he walked one, should have walked Bobby
another.
Witt Jr.
I mean, good God, man.
Brutal.
Hopefully that ump hears it, right? The next day,
Oh,
like,
no way.
no way he's going back and
Freaking
looking, but hopefully,
the way-
Q, who will get after an umpire, hopefully he let him know that, okay, that was 4 inches off the plate.
It wasn't why the Royals lost by any means, but it's still frustrating when all of a sudden now you have the tying run, Vinny Pasquantino coming to the plate. There's 2 walks. There's now 1 out, right? Whatever.
There was one out.
It would have been 1 out. I mean,
Right, or was there nobody out? No, I thought there was.
the complexity of the game changes, right?
Oh, for sure.
It changes, and that's what's so frustrating.
No, there was 2 outs at the time, I believe.
Was that the final
I
out?
think
Bobby Witt was the last out.
That was
yeah.
the final out.
Yeah.
Okay, but you still have a chance. Then Vinny does come up. Then in that situation, a chance to tie the game. You've just walked 2 batters in the inning.
Yeah.
Obviously, Clase's struggling.
And it would have been back-to-back walks.
Yes.
Garcia walked. You
So
would have
he's
walked
gonna-
Bobby Witt.
Pump one down the
struggling
middle
to-
there,
to-
right?
to-
Gets too much of the plate.
care less about the team struggling.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ump. Yeah. That's what the Guardians did. Speaking of that, John Kruk last night in the Phillies game. Phillies are playing the Pirates.
He played?
He did not play. He decided to take the game off and do a little broadcasting for said game. But the Phillies last night playing the Brewers, not the Giants, but Phillies and Brewers. And Contreras, I think Contreras is still catching for the Brewers, right? He's not.
I don't know if he was DHing last night.
Sanchez.
Gary Sanchez.
Isn't Contreras maybe injured, right?
Let me look.
Which one of the Contreras is injured?
Why don't I just look instead of the hypotheticals?
Well, you know what? I don't want you to look. I want to just keep guessing, and eventually we'll get it right.
Brewers. Sir Anthony Dominguez with the win. Nice.
Oh, good for you.
No,
Contreras was last night. Contreras was catching. Anyway, so here is the John Kruk being annoyed by really what a lot of us are annoyed by. But listen to John Kruk fighting back on the skill that some catchers have today.
Sosa takes a strike. It's
no,
1-1.
he didn't. He took a ball that wasn't called a strike. What the heck's going on?
I don't know.
I get the pitch framing and all that. Everyone says, "Oh, the pitch frame," but isn't he supposed to call it when it goes across home plate before it hits the catcher's glove?
Supposed to be a little quicker with it, yes.
That's what I don't understand about this whole framing thing.
Outside, 2-1.
Then you read on the day, look how many pitches this catcher steals. No, he's not stealing them. The umpire's dang missing them.
Well, he definitely has missed a few tonight.
You ain't kidding. Okay, that's my rant for tonight. I'm good.
So great. The pitch frame. What the pitch framing? He didn't steal strikes. The umpire just missed them. It's just bad umpiring is what it is.
I mean, when it's pumped in there at 98 miles an hour. I think there's a
little quick
tough,
snap.
Yes,
Little
it's
snap.
tough to see that,
But
even
he
that
is-
mitt move.
But he is right. It's like, well, it's across the plate
It is,
even
yeah.
before it hits the glove, so it doesn't matter where it hits
You know
the
what it's like?
glove at all.
It's like Jawan Taylor and Lane Johnson. They may be a half step quicker
Yeah.
than the center snap, but the ref's eyes can't adjust to it and make the call.
Well, dude, last night, Fry for the Guardians last night was taking like a pitch that was 5 feet outside and trying to
the
frame it
Bobby
back in
one,
the middle.
the Bobby one, yeah.
I mean, like it's one thing to
Those are ridiculous.
It's one thing to frame it like you just a little pop at the bottom part of the strike zone, but he was taking pitches that were lower than that and bringing up to the middle.
I'm telling you, I think they're taught nowadays. I mean, catchers are moving that mitt more than ever now. Salvi
for
moves
sure.
it more than ever. Used to, it was like, I'm taking an outside pitch and I'm bringing it to the black, right? Or I'm bringing it just a little bit so you can't see that. Now they're like, they'll just bring it to the middle of the plate.
What are you
and they're
doing?
Like, call it. And half the time they will.
Yeah, like the best pitch framing though is when you just like a little pop of the glove and then it's right there. You're like, whoa, this hit. I feel like if you're moving it all the way to the middle, like I can't call that a strike, dude. You're
But they
telling
are.
me you're.
That's why
that's
they're
what the
doing
dude
it.
last
It's like
night was
flopping.
doing.
It's like flopping.
Yes.
It is like flopping, yes.
And I will also say, you know what's bad when Rex Hudler's like, that's not a strike. When Hudler, of all people, the most positive dude, honestly, on both sides, he's very rarely going to be like, give the umpire a hard time because I think he understands it's hard. But even he was like, that's not a strike.
Was it Reagan's that like a month ago that had the first pitch of the game right down the middle and Ryan Lefevre said he takes a strike for ball one.
Yeah.
Takes a strike for ball one and Rex, where was that? Like just fastball right down the middle. The umpire was like,
he's probably lined up outside and he caught it inside, and so it's just all based on the catcher, right?
It was the first pitch of the game, just like get me over fastball right in the middle of those 9, squares that are there. It was right in the middle one, and the umpire's like,
I'm good.
A little too perfect.
I wasn't actually looking. I wasn't
You know
ready
what?
yet.
It's actually
I wasn't ready.
It's actually a donut, and when you throw it through there, that's a ball. Sorry.
Scott Barlow kept trying the entire time to throw it like a foot outside.
Oh my God! And he framed the one way outside.
He was framing him, and I'm like, I swear, if that umpire calls a strike, I'm getting in my car. I'm driving to Cleveland. I will be very late. I'll make it to tonight's game.
But it's amazing though. He was the Fry, the catcher, was setting up in the other batter's box.
Yes. Yeah.
And he would catch it and move it inside.
Yes.
And the crowd, boo!
Yes.
Boo! That was
Because
a
half
strike!
of them are looking from the side.
Right,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, he's right there because nobody would try to frame a pitch that's 5 feet outside. Nobody would try to do that. I think he should be fined.
A good frame is the one you're talking about. The low strike that you bring
Quickly.
up slightly with your
Just a little
It's
bit.
not an arm like it's
Yes, it's a
your
snap
arm
of the
shouldn't
wrist.
move.
How long before that art goes by the way of the
Once we
ancient
get
samurai?
robo umps.
How long?
beat me
That's
to
what I'm
it.
saying.
Because you
5 years, 10 years?
Because you know what's gone that people aren't ever talking about? Like, oh man, I really miss the art of this and this and this and
Angel
this with
Hernandez?
catchers. No, what's gone is, oh man, I mean, you got to change up the signs with the catcher to the pitcher when there's a guy on second base and he's throwing down the different, and you got the fingernail
gone.
polish. It's like, does anybody miss that? They're
I
just
do.
pressing a button. I don't. I don't
then
miss
you have
that.
To deal
Don't
with
care.
De Los Santos having to have 17 issues in Sunday's game.
You know what you
and
don't
complain.
you know what you don't have anymore? Trash cans being pounded by anybody looking at signs between a catcher's leg. We don't have to stare between his legs to see if there's anything hanging there.
Somebody will tap into that frequency one of these days, though. Probably Houston.
You look between his legs to
Bill
see if there's
Belichick, all of a
is there a
sudden
1 or a
hired
2?
with the Astros.
Is there a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4? Unless you've got Nick Lofton on the mound who refused to put on the pitch comm with Freddie Fermin, and Freddie Fermin told him put on the pitch comm, and Nick Lofton said no.
Yeah,
I have a fastball and a knuckleball.
Yes.
Put a number 1 or a 4 down. It doesn't matter.
Who
don't.
was it? Was it Sunday? It was Sunday, right? With the Padres series. I mean, they looked lost
That's
out there.
what I was telling you. The De Los
Right.
Santos.
Yeah,
he couldn't figure it out.
Well, I'm
and
like, okay, well, just go back to old school.
That's right.
2 years ago.
I go. You grew up playing
Yeah.
baseball with
and nobody's on.
and no one's on. Like no one. Who's stopping you?
No, then the pitcher calls his own and does the flip of the glove. I'm going to throw a curve here.
Yes.
Oh, here comes a change up. Like here you go. Oh, fastball. I got you coming here. Just
Didn't someone do that a couple of years
Greinke.
ago? There you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Greinke did, yeah. He did the whole push,
Changeup.
and then he threw a changeup. He was like, it was like 2 years ago with the Royals, right? And he was on the mound, and it was like went through he just said boom, changeup, and threw the changeup.
That's what people joke
Probably got a
about.
swing
in
and
the
a miss.
dugouts
He was
doing
like,
that,
I don't
yeah.
even care, man. It's freak. Of course, it's Greinke that did that. They called a pitch by just telling the catcher what he wanted. We don't need to go through the signs here. I'm throwing the changeup.
What I find fascinating, if they do eventually go to automated strike zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does this affect the career of catchers in regards to pitch framing? Like Salvador
It'll
Perez.
affect it because it doesn't matter anymore.
No. I get that, but I'm talking about historically speaking now.
Yeah.
Like if you were known as a good pitch framer, how does that value go back in the day? Do you still consider that? Because for Salvador Perez, the biggest knock against his Hall of Fame case is his WAR and his defensive metrics, which in my opinion is stupid because defensively he's a really good catcher. He's just a horrendous pitch framer, and that's the biggest knock that's holding him back. Well, if all of a sudden they go to automated strike zones, yeah, he didn't play during that era, but it's not his fault. He has 5 Gold Gloves. 5 Gold Gloves, but that was before pitch framing became the this nerdy analytic end all be all for catchers defense. I wonder how this affects Salvador Perez's Hall of Fame case going forward.
It's one element that would be taken out of the game. You would still, for the most part, be calling a game. You'd have to block. You'd have to throw, guys out. You'd have to still be a receiver of the baseball.
Which Salvi's great at all those
You
things.
can't be MJ and have the ball just go right by you and have all the pass balls that he had. You can't be that guy. You still have to receive the baseball, block all of that stuff. The parameters would be changed a little bit in Hall of Fame because then Gold Gloves wouldn't be necessarily as valuable, but again, it's only
There's
one
no
aspect.
stat,
Exactly.
there's
There's no real stat for pitch framing. Like I don't look back and go, Pudge Rodriguez was amazing pitch framer.
Yes,
like at
that's
the
my
time, we
point.
weren't really talking about that.
No one talked about it until Salvador Perez started winning Gold Gloves, and then we got more analytical. And I'm part of the problem.
I still don't talk about it.
Yeah, Michael Bolton was a great name until that No Talent Ass Clown became famous, started winning Grammys.
But I'm a nerd about it. That's why JT Real Muto all of a sudden got this notoriety as a great defensive catcher because he was a great pitch framer. It's why Yasmani Grandal and Martin Maldonado and all these guys.
None of them are Hall of Famers.
I completely agree. But my point is when you look at the numbers based on now how it's now inputted into a lot of the Hall of Fame numbers, the wins above replacement and some of these more analytical defensive runs saved, that is inputted for a catcher now. And because it's now inputted when it wasn't necessarily inputted in the past, it's hurt Salvi.
Well, it would have to be like how much of the algorithm of a defensive WAR and run saved is attributed to pitch framing.
Well, so my pushback.
So, I mean,
to this,
honestly, I don't know, and if it's 0, then it won't matter.
My pushback to this was I was actually getting into it, not really getting into it with Yankees fans, right? Because they were saying, well,
were you arguing about the Cowboys?
No, it was Derek Jeter. It was Derek Jeter.
Lakers. No,
Derek
Lakers,
Jeter
sorry.
and Salvi. Okay, both have 5 Gold Gloves. Both are known in the analytical community as poor defensive players. You look at a lot of the more analytic side. They're sitting here going, those Gold Gloves probably should have gone somewhere else.
Jeter could not frame
for
a
sure.
pitch.
Well, no, but Jeter had really no range.
Notoriously terrible at framing pitches at shortstop.
He had a jump throw because he couldn't get to normal balls.
That's actually true. Yeah.
That is true, right? But he still had those 5 Gold Gloves. So you can't take that away from him. So when you go into the Hall of Fame voting, well, he has 5 Gold Gloves. Who cares what the analytics say? But I'm now starting to see a lot of people start talking about Salvador Perez and those 5 Gold Gloves saying, yeah, man, but he shouldn't have won those. And I really wonder
I don't care about that.
how this affects his Hall of Fame. I'm with you.
I think he could leave the series right now, retire, and move to Venezuela, and he would be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
ASAP.
I agree. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame with that.
I think he should, but I think he will.
Yeah. I mean, the offensive numbers are obviously more, becoming more and more important for catchers, but different eras, different players. I mean, Carlton Fisk had 1 Gold Glove, and Gary Carter had 3. Salvi's got 5, but maybe it's more of like, well, they were great defensive. But here's the thing: Pudge Fisk was a terrible pitch framer. I have no idea. Okay. Pudge Rodriguez, Gary Carter, notoriously terrible at framing pitches back in the day. Just was not good at it at all.
I bet still when the robo-ums come in.
You know who the worst pitch framer was? Piazza. 0 Gold Gloves, somehow in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
0 gold. The guy did not win a Gold Glove.
He's worse than Jeter at it.
Yeah.
Well,
He's worse at framing pitches than Jeter. That's tough.
Yeah, it's tough to say that a stat that we just now care about is going
Agree.
to dictate any sort of Hall of Fame, especially with a very reasonable Hall of Fame voting committee that they have over there at the Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm sure that this will
they don't
be
take
easy to
historical.
sort
That's
out.
my
Yeah.
concern. I'm just saying.
This is my concern, dude.
I think Salvi is my concern, dude. I think Salvi's a Hall of Famer, but again, I'm telling you what the pushback's been, and I'm trying to find ways to
pushback?
To pushback.
Push it real hard.
Push it real
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Like I'm salt and pepper over here. When you have, WAR, which has been now used very heavily in Hall of Fame voting, right? Wins above replacement.
Right.
Salvador Perez right now is right behind guys like Brian McCann, Martin Russell, or Martin Russell, I forget if he was Martin.
That's Martin.
Jason Kendall.
It's Kendall.
Daryl Porter. I'm just sitting here.
It's a log jam in the Hall of Fame there.
There's not. No, that's behind guys like Mike Piazza, obviously Rodriguez, Yogi Berra, Joe Mauer, Buster Posey, Munson Thurman, Johnny Bench, Gary
Thurman
Carter.
Munson.
Thurman Munson, sorry.
Was that Russell Martin earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Russell Westbrook.
Sometimes they put last names first.
Yeah,
and
they
there's a
don't.
comma,
They
that's when
haven't
they're doing
all of them though, which is very
They
frustrating.
just do half and half. Like it says Salvador Perez, Carter Gary.
No. Sorry, I'm on multiple lists right now trying to figure this out. I'm trying to do some
Ivan
research.
Rodriguez, Barry Yoga. Why are they
Lopez
switching
Javi.
it back and forth?
My biggest deal is because right now they don't change the box for size of batter, right? On the broadcast, they don't.
They
do
typically
that.
do, yeah.
They do.
I mean, I've
Not on the
does that?
broadcast. He's
I
right.
don't think on the broadcast.
So
they
I've
do.
looked
They
at
should.
So I've looked at the broad. If you look and see like the way that it is, like look at the background. So like if there's like bricks or whatever signs, and the top of the box. From
It
batter to
changes?
batter, that actually is not.
Oh,
It's not
I didn't
uniform.
notice.
It's
Okay,
not
good.
uniform. I've
Okay.
tried. Now I don't know if that's every broadcast or maybe I watched one that it was changing a little bit.
Maybe
but
you stood up.
Because Altuve's.
Yeah, is Aaron
Wait,
Judge's?
I've got the plasma TV to where side to side you can't really see. If
Aaron
you're-
Judge's covers the guy in the first row, basically.
Altuve's is just
Marlins man is
smallest you've ever
Marlins
seen.
man is the middle of the strike zone.
Yeah, you have to sit 2 rows
So
up.
I
actually.
didn't think they did on the broadcast.
They I mean,
hopefully, obviously, they
could've swore,
would
yeah.
once the
That would
robo
make sense because
come in.
If Altuve follows or if Aaron Judge follows Altuve, there's no way that you would notice the box immediately.
What do
That
you
would
do?
be-
We
need to go
you
back
have like
to
a little.
Go ahead.
Well, just like a little sensor on your belt
Yes.
when you get up there. Is that what they're going to do?
be
You need to go
something
back
there.
to All-Star games because I think those two maybe batted back to back. Maybe
Nice.
that would be a good
Okay,
way to
yeah.
see.
Well, and also like the pitch tracks, like we see it like on like you. Those aren't the same,
Yeah.
size strike zones with the pitch tracks.
Here's my question because I've worked in those trucks before. I know how busy they are with
Oh,
other
yeah.
stuff. Who's punching in, especially for Lugo? Oh, that was a slider.
Slur.
That was a
I've wondered
sweeper.
that too,
So
yeah.
I mean, it's immediate. Are they just going on miles per hour?
Does the pitch track pick it up? So where there's an
Maybe.
algorithm
Maybe-
by
maybe
speed,
that, just
by
the
speed and brake
RPM and all that,
and all
yeah.
of that stuff that's going to register as a slurve or a slider or a curb.
Is there
because
like a pre-show
Because it's almost
production
immediate.
where they go, hey, this is his last game. This is a slider.
Well,
this is
because
a
Yeah.
fastball."
last night, for instance, it's like okay, that was to Quan in the 4th inning. The 0-2 pitch was a curve. The strikeout to Ramirez was a slurve.
Yeah.
There was a pitch earlier that was a sweeper, and they all three looked almost identical because they were down and inside to a lefty.
Well, that's why the guys
It's
on the
like,
Royals truck
what the hell?
are usually really good at. They will start that replay, where you can see the grip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that Steve Kurtenbach, he's the director, been doing it forever, and he's always been big on that. We're going to show you the grip. That's why it's paused, and then they'll run it in slow mo to see the action, everything, and the hit or the strikeout or whatever.
So one thing that I would love to see incorporated into the broadcast. Okay, I think we're
Color goalposts.
Ring girls, where they walk around with here's the inning.
No,
Thank you.
No, not anymore. I used to believe that.
Okay.
No,
Warning track girls.
be odd. What's the point?
Dugout.
Kit Kat, hit it to the warning track. It's a saying that kids say these days. I'm like, why do you want to hit it why don't you hit it over the warning track? Kit Kat, hit it over the warning. Anyway, that's a
Cigars.
conversation for a different time.
Bourbon.
So,
Beer.
one of the things that I would really like them to start using in broadcasts,
Nude beaches.
we have been. So we have been conditioned throughout our lives when we're watching the game from behind the pitcher, when the ball is hit, we sort of know where that ball is going, if it's going to the second baseman
Oh
or
yeah,
the
you're
shortstop.
talking about where the fielders are.
Just put some dots.
Well,
Can we
and
see some dots? So you got the squares.
Before a couple of years ago, you really needed that when the shift wasn't banned.
Yeah. So like when you've got those three squares there, just put 4 dots wherever they happen to be, and I would be able to see that Nick Lofton was lined up right behind second base on Fry's at bat, and where Bobby was, and the fact that Vinny Pasquantino was apparently playing second base in that particular at. You would know that, or you'd also know it if the ball is hit right up the middle. You're like, well, son of a gun.
Yeah, right at
They
it.
gotta. But right up the middle, then you're waiting for the.
You know, like that split second.
You're
of not
waiting
knowing?
for the camera angle to change and go, all right, there's nobody there, sweet. Or the little dribbler by Brennan that led off the 7th inning that looked like it was a slow roller to the second baseman, and then the camera takes the angle from behind the catcher and it's going right in between 2 guys. You're like, oh, they don't have a guy there. What we used to say is, oh, that's good, we got a guy there.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we don't know if there's a guy. Just incorporate that. Like we 9 different pitches for Seth Lugo, but I don't know where his defense is setting up. That's all.
I would like to see, and I can't believe they haven't incorporated this over the last 10 years or so with the surge in analytics. I mean, RBIs, home runs, average. A couple of those are really kind of obsolete, old school stats. Why do we not have OPS in there? Why do we not have WAR in there? And you can mix it in, right? You can still going to ease
Add a
those in.
column.
You still got
The Excel spreadsheet, just add a
you
column.
can keep the average in for a while, but in a couple of years, people start realizing, okay, this is a good WAR, right? This is a good OPS, and just get more meaningful stats in there because it's still average runs and RBIs.
Why don't you just do the 3-line split? I mean, you could fit it in there. You could do the
That's
average
too much. I
OPS
hate the
and
3-line split. No.
No matter what you said, he was
Bringing
gonna
an
say.
umbrella to a brainstorm.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director.
Okay.
So the mandatory minicamp going on in Miami for the Dolphins, and they had Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle talking and meeting with the media yesterday. One of the things that people have noticed is how Tua looks. He's lost a lot of weight. So last year they were talking about how he was a little hefty, and now it's like, wow, this guy has lost so much weight. He almost is he too skinny? Is he not going to be able to survive a season and not get injured? Well, maybe before as well. While Patrick Mahomes is being made fun of for the dad bod, Tua now might be a little too skinny. Tyreek Hill weighing in on what Tua and the shape he is now heading into mandatory minicamp.
I ain't gonna lie, when I see Tua at the Pro Bowl, I was kind of scared. Dude was fat as shit. He was fat, he was chubby. I was like, hold on now. Bruh, hold on, bruh. Like, Ryan Clark said you were kind of thick. Now, he wasn't lying, but seeing him now and where he's come from and how skinny he has gotten, what's that stuff with everybody taking? Ozempic? He had to be taking that, bruh. Cause I don't know. Tua should have been paid. I've been saying this all offseason, man, and I know we got a great, front office with Greer and Shore, and they're gonna get it done. Obviously, a lot of people are comparing the Jared Goff situation and stuff like that, but I mean, I feel like Tua is supposed to be up there with some of them guys and past some of them guys, man, because just understanding his story and just the progression of how he's getting better each and every year and how he's carrying this offense, it's crazy. So he's going to continue to get better. Because I feel like when you get a new contract, they're not paying you for what you did. They're paying you like it's almost like a investment. You feel me? It's almost like an investment of what you're gonna do in the future. So he's continually getting better. He's gradually getting better each and every year. Last year was Pro Bowl. This year gonna be a playoff win and on much more. So Tua should have been paid.
Couldn't say all pro with Mahomes, huh?
It's like he wanted to say like we're going to win a playoff game. Well, and much more. We're going to win more than a playoff game. Like we're not going to gradually increase from Pro Bowl to then we went to the playoffs and now we're going to playoff.
How much we gonna lose?
Win. Yes, we'll lose it for 20 years. I mean, how much more? I'm not going to lie. I saw him at the Pro Bowl. He was fat as
By the way, to that poor guy's credit in Minnesota. They did lose.
They did lose. Yes. And you know what? And he was asked after the series that can you take something from this and learn from it and take away the things that lessons from this series and move on to next year and build off of this. And he said, "How much more are we gonna lose?" No, he didn't say that. But
didn't Tyreek also weigh in on Justin Jefferson as well?
Yeah, he. So here's that clip too. Then he not only talked about Tua's fitness level. And how thin he is and whether he's taken Ozempic or not. He was also weighing in on his contract now that Jefferson and Amon-Ra and Waddle and guys are getting paid. Here's Tyreek Hill on his contract situation.
I'm going to let my agent do his job. That's his job, man. His job is to be great at that, and my job is obviously, to come out here and continue to do whatever I can to help this team win. Whether that's a restructure, whether that's whatever the case may be, you feel me? But we want to make sure that it benefits both sides, and I want to be able to help the team as much as I can, and that's as much as I can say about it. So.
When you see guys like Jefferson and Brown get new deals, what is your reaction?
Oh, it's a great day in the Hill household, man. Everybody waking up happy. Wife waking up happy. My oldest son waking up happy. So it's a great day. But at the same time, for me, though, like I said, I want to be able to help the team as much as I can. And obviously, we already know being greedy ain't going to help the team. So whatever happens, happens, man.
For you, if it comes down to maximizing your earnings or ensuring that you're a Dolphin for life?
Ensuring I'm a Dolphin for life. That's number one, man. That's priority number one, man. But this is obviously the best situation for myself and the family. But I don't think it could get any better.
I mean, I could think of a place that it could be better for him in terms of his playing, but maybe lifestyle, living in Miami, getting paid all the money he is, not having to work past January. Like, those are nice things to not have to do. Like, it can't really get any better from that standpoint. But
where else can you go? You get paid more and you have more time off.
The
That's
live
exactly
tour.
right.
It's like he went on his own little live tour there in Miami.
You got paid more money to do less work. Like, that is amazing. I mean, sign me up
He
for
was a
that.
pioneer for the live tour.
It's so great. It's like, I'm going to let my agent do that. What'd you think of the Jefferson contract? It was a good day in the hill. My son woke up happy. We're all
the
happy.
oldest son. The rest of the kids,
Yeah,
he
they have no
doesn't-
idea.
They have no idea. But the
No idea.
oldest son,
because he knows that there's a little maybe an extra PlayStation or something. I have
do
no
you think
idea.
it
What
was,
are kids getting these days whose dads make $30 million a year? I
was
don't know.
it Cromartie, who had like 12 kids?
Yeah,
and
he
named
remembered like 5 of them.
No, he named 11, and he's like, and the youngest.
And the youngest.
I forget what it was, but it was along. He like named all 11, and then he forgot
Yeah.
one of them, and he was like, and that one.
I loved and he also named the ages, and there were like 5 of them that were 5 years old. Like, well, what a hell of a year. What a hell of a year for that guy.
Jordan run.
He also
It's a
got
Jordan run.
Yeah, but he also got snipped. That's how powerful his were. He got snipped.
More
and was
like
still,
a wilt.
That's what we.
Yeah, he got snipped and still had 3 kids. Like, damn, that did not take.
Put that in a song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Darren Waller.
But it's so great. It's like, it's a great day in the Hill household.
So he's just saying our next deal is going to be even more.
But I don't want to be greedy because it's got to make sense for. So essentially, he's saying, no, I'm not trying to be greedy, but I am going to get market value. I don't want to be greedy and get more than what I'm worth. I'm just going to get what I'm worth, which is more now than what I'm making.
When's his current contract up?
He's got 2 more years left on it.
Do we think that next contract's going to be more than $30 million a year?
Can't be, not at that age.
If
I wouldn't think so.
That's why he's trying to restructure right now.
Year, $120 million contract originally.
So it's 2 years ago. So we got 2 years left.
I'm trying to. The Wi-Fi's loading. I got the little
fine.
spinning wheel right now.
Cheese on
the
that
potential
wheel.
out is in 2025. Probably gonna happen in 2026 is the final year. 2026
Okay.
cap hit is $56 million. So we ain't seeing that one. So yeah, he'll get out of it in 2025. So one more year.
So 2 years. So 2 years left.
Yeah, 2 years
on
left
his
on
deal,
the,
and then because the 5th year was the fake year.
Yes,
or
correct.
whatever the extension was, because that was where
$43 million base salary with
Orlando
56 cap hit.
Orlando Brown was pissed because he felt like the last year of the Chiefs' offer was funny money to inflate the annual average value, and we pointed out at that time Tyreek Hill's last year
What
was funny
everybody
money
does.
to inflate his annual average
the,
value. That's just how it goes.
The Taysom Hill clause.
Yeah, right. And so, I mean, he wants a new contract. That's why he said, I'm going to let my agent handle that. It's a good day in the Hill household. Being greedy doesn't help the team. But I do want market value now for what I'm worth. If Justin Jefferson's $35 million, I'm not a $30 million receiver. I'm a $35 million receiver.
So funny how
So I don't want to be greedy.
$30 million
Just want
2
what I'm
years
worth.
later, just it's not enough.
Yes.
And people are going to be saying, you got to get that bag. As if $30 million is
Well,
not a
how
bag.
can you
or
expect
$20 million.
How
what
can
he's
you
offered
big of a
from
expect
the
him to
Chiefs.
live on $30 million?
I don't know.
I mean, Patrick Ewing said they got to pay they got to feed their kids, of course. Also, Patrick Ewing said, yeah, but
spend more.
We spend more. We're great for the economy. Yeah, we make a lot of money, but we spend a lot of money too. It's absolutely true. It's NBA players, I've always said, are the economic drivers of this country.
They are.
Yeah.
So good with their money.
It's my platform I'm running on. Pay NBA players more, and we'll get out of inflation.
I like yours of if you're a Chiefs fan, no taxes.
Yeah,
you know
thank
what
you.
we'd have in this country? 350 million Chiefs fans.
Yeah, go Chiefs.
Yep.
Bandwagoners.
The guys in Philadelphia. Yeah, I'm a Chiefs fan. Yeah.
Yes.
Total Chiefs fan. Not paying you anything.
Da Chiefs. Da Chiefs. Da Chiefs. Ditka sucks. It's Reed.
I ain't paying that, John.
You jag off. music. Nice.
I don't
That's
care
really
what
cool.
anybody says.
Yeah.
Those are two things I love.
Do you like music? Yeah, I like breathing too. Yeah, I totally like
That
breathing.
was your Mick minute right there.
Your
Right there.
Mick minute.
That's it.
What's Mick feeling today? Music. I think I'm enjoying some
Oh,
music
you
right
like
now.
music? Name every song ever.
Oh, man.
Clearly you
Well.
don't like music.
Clearly, this
Come
guy.
on, man. The
Poser.
program comes your way up next, and then tonight she's on the mic with Bethany Bowman at 7 o'clock, along with some Sports Night with Covell at 8 o'clock. And tomorrow, the NBA Finals will be getting underway. And
Oh,
we'll
I'm
be
ready
at the,
for it.
be
My
at the
house
Chiefs
is ready
charity
for
game.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Celtics
Kyrie
versus
stays.
Kyrie and Luka.
No LeBron.